I don't know, bro. The current state of hip hop don't seem like that. At least for me, you know. Maybe I'm not listening to the right people.
What do you mean though? What do you mean by that?
Like, if you think about the mainstream condition of where hip hop is, and it's like you look around, there's not really people being too original. You know what I mean? Why does this person, who's clearly telling these lies on this beat that sounds super cliche and using a flow that's overused? I mean, you don't have to express yourself, but at least be original, you know, to some extent.
Welcome back to another episode of Bopcast, where I interview people who I think are personally interesting, and most of them are breaking the mold in some way, breaking the status quo, and just living life on their terms. Today, I have somebody who fits this mold. His name is Solis. Solis is an artist, a songwriter, and a rapper. He's most known for his prolific lyrics and his attention to detail when it comes to describing his Puerto Rican culture. I noticed him first on Instagram, recognizing him for his bars and his lyrics, just these hard-hitting, deep lyrics that you really do have to sit down, think about, and actively consume. And that's actually something we touched on in the episode. This episode was wide-ranging, it was unexpected, it was surprising. We really went deep on our cultures, my culture, Tret's culture, Solis's culture. We covered everything from hip-hop, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar, to understanding your cultural identity going back generations. So I hope you enjoyed this wide-ranging conversation with artist, songwriter, and rapper, my great friend, Solis.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of Bopcast. Today on the show, I have my guy, Solis. How are you, man?
I'm doing good today. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, man. Found you on the old Instagram and just found your music and your content. Really vibed with it. Really enjoyed your freestyles, and you know, it was like, I think it makes sense to have you on the show. I saw you on another podcast too, so just wanted to have you on, chop it up, and see what we can do here today.
Thank you. I've been trying to do more podcasts. Like, I guess the last one you saw was the Sabrosa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been trying to do more podcasts because, I don't know, writing been looking slow for me lately. I ain't even gonna lie. But I feel like even though you do a lot of songs, you still need interviews as a good part to dive deep into whatever it is that artist is talking about, or whatever that artist is, or whoever that person is. And I feel like that's a perspective that people don't get a lot, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Especially from me, because I don't put out a lot, so, you know.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me that some artists, too, I was watching an interview with Token the other day. Are you familiar with him?
Token.
He's a... Trey, have you heard of him?
It sounds super familiar.
You had him... No.
This kid is... If you look up Token, and he'll come up, he'll be like the first one.
Right.
This white kid spits real hard, very fast. And his music is so like lyrically intense and fast. But then in the interview, I'm not throwing any shade at all, but it was like, I felt like it was almost difficult for him to talk about like what he did, you know? And so I feel like sometimes you just like leave it all in the art, you know? And other times, it just depends who you are as a personality. I feel like people judge artists by their music, but like that's just not who they are, you know? Like they're not their music. They're also them as a person, you know?
Yeah. I feel like, especially in rap, you have to, you need to know who that person is. Like, legit, it's funny, because today, right when I got out of work, I went to go grab a sandwich real quick, and my cousin was showing me, the Rap Genius videos. And I don't know what artist it was, but you know how they spit a line, and then it cuts to when they give you, like, the deep dive?
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you, every bar he was like, I don't own Gucci, and then it was like, oh, I got 3 women or whatever, and then it cuts and he's like, I got a girl, bro. All these other women are dubs. And like every line, like you could just tell, he was mad honest. Like I was bullshitting. So you know, it is very important to dive into, especially I feel like in hip hop, because a lot of hip hop artists create these freaking personas and these characters, you know, that they're not really are what they really do. So, you know.
But then you have like an MF Doom who it's like, that is the thing. Like the thing is the character. Like the character is the artist.
Yeah.
And you don't know the person at all. Like you don't even know what is their name. You know, you couldn't even find it. So it's weird, man. And I love the conversation of and I love talking to artists about this, is separating the art from the artist, you know? Because that's something that it's kind of a psychological, I guess, avenue that you can go down with yourself as an artist. That where you kind of start to think, oh, what is me versus what's the art? Is it two different things? Am I like a different guy on the street versus when I'm going in the booth and spitting, you know?
I think it depends. I think it really depends, because that's a good question in terms of anything really, you know, and especially influential people, where it's like they influence a generation or they do some crazy historical thing, and it's like you dig in dirt on this person, and it's like, does that affect the person that he really is, or like not the person that he really is, because that's a part of him, but does that affect what he's done or what he or she has done? You know what I mean? And I think with artists in general, it depends on their purpose. So like the people, like I was saying, the person whose every line is fake and he's just doing it clearly for financial reasons, you know what I mean? And as long as he's honest in his interviews and in his descriptions and in his, it's like, all right, I respect that. I see why you're doing it. You're very clear cut on why you're doing it, and there's no space for misunderstanding that person. You know what I mean? So it depends, because even book writers, you got those who write autobiographies, those who write fiction, those who write whatever, and it's like you have to clearly define what this person is doing with this art, and then, you know, judge whether it's a part of him or whether it's not. Because you could have artists that are like, let's say somebody like I'm gonna say J. Cole, right? Somebody who you feel so connected to his music because you feel like he portrays this person that he truly is. You listen to his music and you're like, nah, that's not even just J. Cole, that's Jermaine Cole. You know what I'm saying? And you hear it, you feel it, and it's like, he doesn't give you any hints as to like, this isn't me. So with a person like that, it's like if a person like him does something crazy outlandish, it's like, damn, J. Cole did that? You know what I mean? Like, yes. I guess like even the R. Kelly thing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you write all these phenomenal songs about love and
MJ,
about this.
Whoever you want to throw in there.
Yeah, and it's like,
pick a name.
Yeah, pick a name. Yeah.
And if you don't, you gotta distinguish who is his art or her art and who isn't.
Dude, when I'm, like I said, I'm a wedding DJ, and for people who listen to the podcast probably know this by now, but some people, there's a do not playlist, you know, and meaning like don't play any of these songs or these artists. And I got a few R. Kellys and a few MJs. It doesn't happen often, but when I do get it, I'm like, first of all, this is a bigger conversation, because is this wedding for you, or is it for the guest, or who's it for? Does that mean none of your guests want MJ? Because MJ, I've played 3 MJ songs in a row and had the dance floor popping, right? So I'm like,
why not really MJ? I'm confused.
I guess because of I don't know. I mean, you know, like the rumors or whatever, but yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Even just that.
But I never felt like they were like solidified. No, you know what I mean? It's always like a gray area.
It wasn't R. Kelly level.
No,
exactly.
That's what I'm saying. R. Kelly, I could almost understand a little bit more. You know,
and it never like took away from like the music value. Like, people weren't like, oh, I'm not listening to him because of those rumors, like, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
People like, he's still, you know, now, which is crazy. He's still like the, you know, huge. So it's like, you know, never really took away from it. Where like other artists, like, it's like, I don't really want to listen to that anymore. You know?
Yeah, but I've never been turned off from an artist for something they did.
Really?
Not. I've never listened to the song one day and liked it, heard what they did, and listened to the song the next day and didn't like it anymore. That's just never happened.
I don't know, bro. I can't hear R. Kelly the same. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Really? I don't know.
I'm that way with Chris Brown. I can't listen.
Really? Yeah. See, like, I don't think about it when I listen to their shit, dude. I just don't.
Great music, but
so it does make sense why people would want to do that then, because maybe every time they hear that, that's what they think about. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think R. Kelly's shit was so extreme.
Because now I feel like I'm like weird if I don't think about. I mean, listen, I guess I've thought about it before, but like, honestly, I don't play R. Kelly songs much, just because they don't fit into like they just don't fit into my sets. But if somebody requested it, maybe I would play it. But I feel like that one's the most blatant one where you would, people might be like,
this may be like a weird ass analogy, but like if you dropped a cup in a pile of dog shit, would you clean that cup and use it again? I wouldn't.
No.
I'm throwing that shit out.
No.
You know what I mean? No matter, you could wash it and it could be the same fucking cup. It's just not. Every time you look at that cup, you're just gonna think about that pile of shit.
It's tainted, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Forever, yeah.
That's what it's like for me when I hear R. Kelly, bro. Can't hear his shit no more.
Yeah, man. That's so funny, though. It's like that comes back to what we were saying. I mean, it is just separating the art from the artist, you know. And they're at a certain point, especially if their name's on it. That's really the thing. If R. Kelly, if that wasn't his name, or if that wasn't his entire persona, and if you were like MF Doom or something and something happened to you, well, they would have to use his government, you know, so nobody would know it was him, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy, man.
And he had the whole mask thing too, so like, did anybody know his did anybody figure out his identity, or is he still? I think
so, because when he passed, I'm pretty sure. Like, and I think his family came
that's
out.
Right.
Rest in peace, man. What a great
for real
artist, you know.
I mean, I never really heard much MF Doom, which is surprising considering that I, make hip hop music, but
he's a rapper's rapper for sure, I think. So I think he's an acquired taste. It definitely took me some time to get into him, but once I got into him, I really liked him.
Yeah. I mean, I could understand acquired taste. It's just like, I don't know. I'm the type of person that if it's not thrown at me, like, right at the moment, I'm not much really going to go home and, look it up and take the time to do that. You know what I mean? Unless it's, like, depends on who's throwing that suggestion and, how serious they feel about it. But most of the time, I'll be like, yeah, I'll check it out. And fucking
there's a weight,
never get to it.
There's a weight to the stuff you check out, meaning like it depends who it's coming from. My one homie, my one boy Chris Miller, man, if he sends me something, I have to listen to it.
Really?
I have to. I can't not, like, I have to get back to him and let him know. I might be like, nah, dude, didn't like it, but me and him, you gotta listen to it. If either
you respect his opinion on
but other people hit me out of the blue with something, I'm like, dude, I don't have a verification with you. Like, I can't verify that. You've never sent me anything, so now, like, it better be good, dude. Like, the first time you send me something to check out better be good, you know?
Yeah, nah. But I never heard MF Doom like that, but I'm pretty sure if I ever hear him, I'm a respect his work, considering the people that I respect his work. You know what I mean? So
I can put you on some good tracks that you might.
Shit, after this, you're gonna have to play some for me then.
Oh, I got you, dude. We'll play some Doom for sure. Hell yeah, man. Hey, there's a lot of different avenues that we can go. A lot of different ways we can go with it, but to be honest with you, I don't really know you that well. I just know you from your music and, your profile and stuff like that, man. But I'd love to know, like, I did a little bit of research, but I would love to know your story of how you got into the music. And it could be, like, we were talking off camera about it, maybe that's the story of how you got into it, but I'd love to kind of take it back a little bit, and you can kind of start at wherever you think is most notable, but I'd love to know kind of how it became a part of your life,
Yeah. I mean, growing up, music in general was very much, in the house, especially rap and, like, reggaeton music. And I guess, some people won't consider reggaeton rap, but, like, it very much is. You know what I mean? It's just a whole different language with a different beat pattern. Yeah. But it's very much hip-hop, so... those things was always in my house. My dad always had freaking DMX CDs, 50 Cent CDs, and this, like, very hardcore 90s shit, you know what I mean? And I always loved that music. And I started off as a writer. Like, me as a kid, I wanted to write books. So I was much more into stories and creating these fictional places and, like, kind of just very imaginative. But my cousin one time came up to me, and he had wrote a song, and he had told me, you should try this. You should try to write rhymes over these beats. And I can't remember how old I was. My memory sucks. But I remember when I tried it, it was so difficult that it was like, as a writer, I felt like, holy shit, this is something I have to... It felt like something I had to conquer. Like, nah, there can't be something where I can't write on, So, and it was fun, You know, I guess when something isn't, you know, so easy and it doesn't come so, you know, it's like, let me keep trying this and keep trying this. And bro, I fell in love. I just fell in love with rhyming and trying to tell a story in a different way, because it's very much different from a regular telling of a story. You have infinite amount of pages that you could write to get your point across, but on a song you only have 3 minutes, you know what I mean? And you don't get your point across in 3 minutes, you're fucked. So, you know, that's how I got into, you know, writing and becoming an artist. But I think that was just always me, you know what I mean? I think the writing aspect is always me. Even now, it's like, I don't like to say I'm a rapper or a musician, or I like to say either artist or writer. Specifically more so a writer. I can't deal with, I don't do production, I don't play any instruments. I took piano classes and shit like that, and I would love to know an instrument. But my forte is the pen and the paper, like 100%. So that's how I got into it. That's what it came from me.
What, back then though, was it expression, or like you said, it was more just like trying to do it and get better at it? Like, do you think that its function in your life has changed for you over the course of actually taking it much more seriously?
What's interesting is that you asking that question, looking back at the first rhyme I wrote, it really wasn't like on some bullshit. It was me really trying to say something. And that's interesting because everything I ever wrote in terms of a writer was fictional. Like, you know, like these fake stories and coming up with these fake stories, but something that revolved around a central idea and moral standing, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But with the music, it was more so like very direct. Like, I'm talking directly about the moral point, as opposed to creating these stories and characters that display the point. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I never even realized that till you just asked that question. But, you know, I would like to believe from the very beginning it was something of like, I didn't stray too much from my heart. You know, don't get me wrong, there was some songs where it's like, I just wanted to be lyrically ill. And I think for the majority of the beginning of my, you know, writing career in terms of music, it was very much me just trying to be the illest spitter. You know what I mean? Like, how can I bend words to where it's like, you hear it and it's like, yo, how did he think about that rhyme scheme? How did he make this word rhyme with this word? You know, it was very like meticulous.
Yeah.
Because even in the beginning, I think a lot of people's, you know, beginning inspirations is like Eminem, you know what I mean? So for me, that's what it was, because he would do shit with words that I never heard anybody do, and it's like, I want to do that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But thankfully I grew out of that in terms of, I think you take people's flows and you use it until you find your own footing and your own lane. So thank God I found my voice and my lane and my way, and still maintaining the core principles of lyricism, you know? So yeah, now it's very much...
Sorry about the birds.
The birds.
These sting bugs be fucking popping, bro. Homies they be eating leftovers, you know what I'm saying?
No, we in the country now, so fuck it.
Yeah, baby, we out here, man.
We out here, you feel me?
Yeah, hey, you know.
But yeah, so now it's very much, I gave up that whole idea of being like the illest spitter, because to me that really didn't feed my heart for so long. Now it's more so about expression. That's the perfect way to explain it, expression.
So there was a competitive nature to it, kind of, in
the beginning.
That's so natural. That's so natural, because like if you're around anybody else that's doing it, every rapper wants to be the best rapper in the room. We can't.
Back then,
yes.
Back then.
Like at your beginning stages of doing it, you want to be that guy that people are like, holy shit, that guy can rap, you know? And it's kind of the ego thing. I feel like it happens in anything. Like, it happens in a lot of things where, even like, say like working out, right? Like you start working out, then you want to like start lifting more weight, but it's like for no reason. It's like, why do you want, like, it's okay. Like, you can just you can just be you. It's fine. You don't have to worry about like competing, you know? So I think it's a natural thing, because you don't really know yourself yet. So all you can do is compare yourself to like the other people, because you can't compare yourself to you yet.
Yeah, especially at that time when you're not really songwriting or making songs. You're really like a little kid in grade school with no income, and you're not paying for studio time or getting studio time unless your parents are paying for it. So it's like the only thing you really have to show for yourself, you can't pull up an MP3. You gotta fucking rap on the spot. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I guess that comes from what you're saying. You know what I mean? You don't have nothing to show for it. So you kind of just gotta eat wherever you're at, and it's like the only thing you got is no beat and whoever's in front of you, and that's just how it is. So yeah, it could be ego. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe for some, for sure. But so how old were you when you, like, that very beginning where you're just writing? Like,
writing in general?
Yeah, with your cousin. Like, you said he wrote, and then you were like, all right, cool, I'll try it.
So with my cousin, I was probably, I say like 5th grade, okay. 6th grade, I think.
So you were exposed pretty early though to that. Yeah. And then when did you start actually? I guess I don't know. Well, let me ask this: at the point when you started recording it, was that the point you started taking it really like seriously, or did you take it seriously before that? Before you started recording?
I always took it serious in a sense of like whatever you do is like it has your name on it, you know. So whatever I do or whenever I rap, it has to be something that I have faith in, you know. So I don't. Yeah, it's just everything I had to do in terms of writing. I made sure it was something that, you know, people, especially at that time, because people, like I said behind the camera, when my boy would come up to me and just start dissing me for no reason, it's like, nah, I can't keep having this happen. Like I told you, after the second time, bro, I started writing mad shit.
Can you tell that?
So the story I was telling you.
Yeah.
So the whole thing of like, well, I'll tell it to him. So, never mind. But anyways,
all good.
The whole thing of like, there was this a friend of mine in school who, at that grade, I think at this time it was like probably like 7th grade. Mm-hmm. So we've been writing for a hot minute, but he was more so the person that people knew as like the rapper, where everybody just knew me as like the person who can rap, you know. So I don't know for what reason, but after lunch, you know, we have this period where you eat lunch and then you get like 30 minutes to sit, chill, talk with everybody in your class. And one day while I'm with my girl, he just came up to me and just started going off on something that he written about me, I guess, at home. Yeah. You know what I mean? And while he's going off, I'm thinking to myself, while people are like, oh, like at every bar, it's like I'm thinking to myself like, yo, I got nothing. He just came at me on the random, so I gotta think on the spot, what the hell am I gonna say? So I started literally jotting in my head like lines. And as I'm jotting these lines, I'm trying to hear the shit that he's saying so that I could probably like flip one of them and have the crowd going crazy, you know what I mean? So by the time he finished, I probably had like 40 seconds, 45 seconds to write some shit in my head. So by the time he was done, I had something. And I just spit and everybody just went fucking crazy. And I think it also boosted it, the fact that people knew I didn't know that this shit was gonna happen. So everybody knew like, yo, he's coming off the top like right at this very moment, you know? And I think that had like a fucking impact value to it. So then, you know, that happened or whatever, and the next day I'm thinking it's a one-time thing. Like, you diss me, I dissed you back, and I clearly won. So it's like, all right, we're going to just put the shit on the table, just leave it as is. But he came back again, lunch period, right back with a whole nother written. And I'm like, fuck, I should have prepared. But I basically did the same thing over again, where it's like, all right, pay attention and start fucking writing while he's rapping. I don't know how long I got. So at the end of his shit, sauced him up again. And fucking, I remember when we went up to go back to classroom, fucking, the teacher's about to start or whatever, and everybody just sees him grab his rap book, which we all knew it was his rap book, and he walks to the front, he just threw it in the trash, and it's like, you know, it's not a story that I'm proud to say, but it's a funny kid memory, you know what I mean? Because we were just really little kids, but, you know, that competitive nature, I wasn't really competitive, I guess, in that aspect, but, you know, it definitely showed me the realm of hip-hop and, like, what to kind of expect, at least at that time, because fucking hip-hop changed dramatically now, so I don't even know what it's like for kids who are rapping at this point in time, how it is for them when they're in fucking lunchrooms or in classrooms, you know, trying to pursue a rap career. It's probably not even the same environment, you know. It probably lost some of that. I'll just call it rawness, you know, to it. At least that's how I feel about, you know, that specific time of hip hop when I was a kid.
My first track was a diss track, so.
Really?
Yeah, Kid in School. My whole high school listened to that. It was did you remember it, Tret?
No, I don't remember it at all.
Alright, except everybody except Tret.
Yeah.
But he knows you killed it.
But it seemed no, it just sounds like I'm fronting like nobody listened to it. I'm saying
what was the name of it? I mean, what was the name of the song?
It was oh shit, dude. It was
Did you name it?
No, it has a name. It's on SoundCloud.
Is it on SoundCloud?
Yeah, go to my SoundCloud.
I'll get you.
I know the bars though.
Really?
Yeah. Sending Marco Martian back to planet Uranus. I'm making so much off these statements. Now he's sending me payments, like some shit like that.
Oh man.
And it was like, so my boy Justin, man.
You're a double time rapper.
Yeah, back then way more for sure. You know, because it was like, yeah, and I had you. I don't know, you probably had this too, but like, yeah, all I knew was to go fast. Just gotta go fast, impress people. Like, I'm impressing me, you know. But I kind of had I was always a words person. Like always, like I got words. Hey, tell me the essay, I'll write the essay. Like that type of person. I don't need to prep it. I just write. Like I can just go.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah, right. So like that kind of came a little bit natural to me. I guess the writing portion of it. But my Dominican friend Justin, we would work out together. Yeah, man, he's the homie, bro. Y'all would fucking get along, dude. He's the man. But we were lifting, you know, working out. We'd smoke, drive around, work out. Then we would just rap. You know, that was our routine because we had nothing to do. And so, I don't know. I don't think it was for this kid Marco, but I don't think that he stirred any. I don't know if maybe he said something about us rapping that we weren't. Maybe he did. I don't remember. But my friend Purnell was he had like 1 million plays on SoundCloud in high school. Like he was an amazing producer and still is.
Yeah.
And so he hooked us up. He was like, all right, guys, I'll do a beat for you and stuff. Because we would always mess around together. But like our level of rap was not at his level of production. But but it was great. We had a good beat. And so, man, Marco Martian diss track, I believe that's what it is, I think. But yeah, dude, we just ripped on Marco and he loved it, dude.
He loved it?
Yeah, he loved it. Like, he thought, because it was awesome. Everybody's talking about him, you know?
Yeah.
So,
that's
it's
dope,
funny.
though.
Yeah, man.
At least you had it recorded. Shit.
Yo, you know the amount of times when I was back and I was an idiot, I was like, I should just delete all these. Thank God I didn't delete them, dude. I have every Instagram post. I have every single SoundCloud song. I have everything up.
Yeah, I have every YouTube video, and it's kind of cringy, but...
dude, each YouTube channel that I made, too, I have every video from each channel. Like, I have channels that go way back. Like,
yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's
My first
shit.
records, super cringy, man. Super cringy. I thought about deleting them, but I love... I guess, like, I don't want to say history, but, like, the history of a person, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when you get to actually see the growth of somebody... Like, my mom, she has all these videos of when I was a baby, and it's like, you know, then to see me, as I'm growing in these videos, it's like, wow, that's crazy to see the evolvement of a person, you know what I mean? Not even just me, but just anybody in those videos from early 2000s or the 90s. It's like, that to me is so interesting, the lives of, like, these individuals. So it's like, yeah, it may be cringy for me, but, like, fuck it, bro. This is the first generation where my great grandkids, if they ever find my name, it's like, holy shit, I could hear his voice. You know what I mean? I can't hear my third great grandfather's voice or my fourth great grandfather's voice. Pause. I did actually meet my third great grandfather, so I did get to hear him. But, you know, in hindsight, had I not met my third great grandfather, it's like, I wouldn't know what he looks like. I wouldn't know what he sounds like. I would just have stories from other people,
just an idea of who he was, like,
from other people's words of mouth. Yes. So it's like, you know, fuck it, leave those videos there, leave the songs there. At least they're gonna see where I started and where I ended. And it's like, fuck where I started at. It's like the whole process is like the picture. All
art captures a moment in time.
Exactly. Yep.
It has to. It's a time capsule, like, by default, because you made this thing and then you said it's done. Mm-hmm. And that means that in this moment, you're putting this out and saying this is a representation of what I just did.
Yeah,
right
and
now.
you had the balls to put it out in front of the world because the internet is the world.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
but isn't that a different thing though? Putting music out, it's like it's not like nothing else, man. I don't think there's anything else you can compare it to. Where you just you're like, all right, I'm gonna get super raw and vulnerable, and like also try to do the best that I can, and then put it out for random people to like judge it.
Maybe for us, you know what I mean? But I don't know, bro. The current state of hip hop don't seem like that. At least for me, you know. Maybe I'm not listening to the right people.
What do you mean though? What do you mean by that?
Like if you think about mainstream, the mainstream condition of where hip hop is, and it's like you look around, there's not really people being too, original. You know what I mean? There's not too many people putting their own sound into something, and it's like, oh my god, I got the burpees. But
all good.
Like my cousin, he shows me a lot of people that do music today, and it's like he always tells me, he's like, bro, I don't know why people don't listen to you. Like why does this person who's clearly telling these lies on this beat that sounds super cliche and using a flow that's overused, and for some reason they get these views, and it doesn't even have to be somebody that we know of, like in terms of like fame, and it could be some YouTuber who just randomly did a song, and it's like, oh shit, it's catchy enough to where it got X amount of streams, and he's just as much disappointed as I am, you know what I mean? But my whole point is to say, like, in this generation, I don't feel like when people get into music, it's not with this intention to I mean, you don't have to express yourself, but at least be original, you know, to some extent, and have some type of purpose, you know? It could be anything but trying to make money and trying to be famous, of like, yo, fuck it, if I gotta talk about doing this, that, and the third, of which I do not do at all, then fuck it, I'm gonna do it just to swing at the bat and hopefully I fucking make it. But it's like you overpollute something that could be so much diverse and much more fun, you know what I mean? I don't feel like I don't know. It's just very much disappointing for me to look at what people do today in terms of like hip hop music.
Well, think about it. If you listen to a song that has real lyrics, you have to listen to the song. Like, you have to consciously listen to the song. Like, if you have a song that's a cut and dry, rinse and repeat trap song or something, just as an example, you don't have to do any work to understand that song, right? So people automatically, if they like listen to your freestyle, say for example, I have to try to understand what you're saying, because you're saying words that are rhyming, but you're also maybe telling a story, you're also maybe describing something. There's a lot of words too, right? Mm-hmm. So there's like some work that goes into that, right?
But
so
this is where it becomes. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, podcast. No, you're good.
I'm sorry about that, bro. But
no problem.
My thing is, this is what comes with being an artist, where it's like, even if you do say something, right, you fuck up when you say something directly at gunpoint. You know what I mean? So you come off as this preachy person that it almost becomes cringy to hear, you know what I mean? So as an artist, you got to figure out, how do I get this message across in the most musical way possible to where it could be digested, and even if they don't want to digest it, they could digest it. So it's like, I use this example a lot in like Spanish music, where like for example, there's this song where it's like no le pega la negra, you know what I mean? And he's basically saying like, don't hit the black woman, you know? And the song kind of goes into like, you know, these things about racism and like, you know, maybe even like slavery. And it's like, I'm there like, yo, as a kid, I never noticed that this guy is really saying some shit over this track, and my whole family's just getting drunk and partying to it. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's thinking about what the fuck he's saying, but he's really saying some shit, and we're all turning up and having a great mindless time to some really mindful music. And it's like, that is what I feel like artists need to understand. I'm not saying everybody has to have a message and has to, you know, put something together that has to, you know, make somebody think and they have to sit there and digest it. It's like, my main thing is like, be you as much as possible and think of like creative ways to get points across and like different stories. And it's like, you know, like even R&B to me at some point is like, damn, all you could talk about is love, you know, or like some sexual relation you had with an ex-partner, or like, it's like, damn, y'all can't even think of something that's like different, you know? That's my problem with like even people trying to do conscious shit. It's like you're not even doing it, I'm not gonna say the right way, but digestible. The way that you were saying it, digestible.
And you also will hear an artist or see an artist or whatever, and you're like, and then maybe you'll talk to them or whatever, and you'll be like, oh, I know you have more in you. Like, I know that this isn't really you. Like, you can kind of tell when somebody, or you have an inclination of, I don't know, dude. I think you could get, like, nobody's going to say that to an artist and be like, dude, you could be so much more real on that. Like, why don't you just tell your story? Why are you trying to fake it? Like, nobody's going to get, if you have somebody around you that can tell you that, amazing. Like, my friend who I'd send music back and forth to, he was always, the reason we became really good friends is because he would be like, this song is not good, you know, and he would just tell me why he thinks it's not good. And if you can have somebody like that, that's amazing. But a lot of this is, and it kind of comes back to the very beginning of this topic, which is people are doing music's, rap, whatever, is on a pedestal, and people are doing it for, it's a means to an end. It's a means to clout. It's a means to fame or whatever. Yeah. It's not not that we're saying everything has to be expression this, expression that. Yeah. Right? That's not what we're saying. But it needs to be a version of you. And I was listening to an interview yesterday with the drummer of the Police. And he said, if you listen to your song, he was like, imagine your song's on the radio. And you listen to your song and the next song comes on and you're like, damn, it sounds like that song. Then you're doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to have a sound. This is not about, it doesn't have to be about expression. It doesn't have to be about right and wrong. It has to be about having a sound that is your sound. That's just you, like your version of you. I just feel like people will write the song being like, all right, are people gonna, all right, what would people want to hear? Well, if I want to get on the charts, it has to sound like this, you know? And then you already like, now you just tainted the whole thing. Like, now you'll never have, that song will never be the real expression to you because the what you tried to do was make it something else. Yeah.
I mean, one thing I always thought about when making music, especially a couple of years ago, I got into, well, this is an interesting story, right? So this is when veganism was not even like the popular thing, right? So I've met these group of people who were like very much on like Dr. Sebi and like veganism, and again, this was not mainstream at the time that I've met these people. It was right at the bubbling point, right before this everybody started finding about a CMOS and like all this extra shit. And basically I got put in a group chat with these vegan people because I was very much looking into like that type of lifestyle, that type of eating style. So I remember I got added into it and they were like, oh, introduce yourself, like blah blah. I was like, yeah, rap or whatever, you know, blah blah. And one of the guys actually was like, yo, like, you rap? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, bro, like, you're part of the reason why, you know, black people are in a state of or minorities are in a place where this and that. And I'm like, yo, bro, like, you ain't even hear my shit yet. Like, how you gonna say I contribute to the struggle and like to the fucking oppression of minorities, you know, and you didn't even take a listen as to what I had to say? But
you're trying to save some chicken that you don't even know. Sorry.
But then he goes like, he goes, you know, that hip hop music ain't real music, bro. Like, Bob Marley's real music. So, you know, everybody knows Bob Marley. In a general like touristy headspace, you know Bob Marley. But I was so hurt. I was like, yo, who the fuck is gonna tell me and judge me about my music? One, they ain't never hear, they just judged it based off of the image that they had of it. and then go to it, talk about somebody who's completely out of the genre. So now it's like, all right, this was literally my thought process. This person believes that music, real music, is this thing, this person over here, right? Or this sound. So I literally was like, all right, bet. How can I create music in my genre that would be for that person who just told me that this is music? So I remember I studied Bob Marley so hard, bro. I studied him day and night, and I fell in love with his music. And I was like, I get it. I fucking get it. I know what you're talking about, bro. But not that I wasn't that, not that I wasn't original, not that I wasn't telling my stories or whatever, but it was like, I'm definitely not doing what Bob Marley's doing. You know what I mean? So I was so inspired by this guy's music, I was watching interviews, I was listening to every album. I became a fanatic, bro. Like, I'm a Bob Marley fan, hardcore. And I told myself, I was like, now it's time for me to make music that I feel like this guy would make had he been a rapper. You know what I mean? So I literally put together this project called 9 Mile Love, right? Shout out to Tony V Management. He's the one that came up with the idea for the title, where Bob Marley grew up on 9 Mile. So we called it 9 Mile Love. And I feel like that was one of my favorite pieces of work, even though I don't own it. You know what I mean? I don't own none of the beats. So it's like I can't put it on Spotify or iTunes. Like, literally all I own is the lyrics. So it's like this free body of work, which is dedicated to this person who I feel like is very much that type of person. Like, yo, fuck it. Who gives a fuck about money? Like, just put that shit out because it has value. And bro, like, I thank that person so much for allowing me to dig into that space that I never really felt like I dug into. You know what I mean? And come to find out, like, he listened to my shit, completely changed his idea of who I was, and like, he ended up liking rap music. You know what I mean? So, it was a beautiful moment. But that moment for me really defined something, and it I could say that was really a pinnacle in my career in terms of like how I approach my music. You know what I mean? Again, not to say that it wasn't coming from a specific place, but it really enhanced how I come from a specific place.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say, like, like, this guy was crazy. Like, I thought you were gonna say, like, you didn't acknowledge him, you just thought he was an idiot or something like that.
I'm glad
that you just passed it. I thought you were just gonna say you just passed over it, but you actually took it to heart and then did the research to be like, who's all right? Let's not just do the one love, like, everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go deep, and Bob Marley with the Wailers and Bob Marley solo, and and I've done it too, because Sublime's my favorite band, and I'm a massive ska fan, and that's my like kind of genre.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously by necessity you have to like know Bob and his music too. So I've gone down that rabbit hole too, and it does open your mind up to really, because you have to then know the history of where he came from and how his people think he's Jamaican and like all this stuff, so that isn't mainstream.
That was another thing crazy for me to even find out.
Me
like
too.
Yo, his dad was a white Brit, I think, right? A Brit?
Yeah, and his mom was African.
And his mom was an African Jamaican. Yeah, yep. So like that blew my mind, bro. Like completely blew my mind.
It's like, wild. But you don't know, because you just, once again, like, comes back to, imagine being Bob Marley level, but this is what it is. This is 100% what this is. It's breadth, not depth. It's surface, but it's not deep, right? So Bob Marley, you love his music. I love Bob Marley. But you don't know Bob Marley. Like, you don't know him as, you don't really know him. Like, you just love the Bob Marley music, so
when it comes on.
Yep, 100%.
Not even when you play it, when it comes on, type of thing.
Exactly. And that's how to be honest, that's how most of us are with most music. That's how most passive music listeners are. That people don't have the time in their day to go through this and try to look up the Wikipedia and then go watch interviews, and I do it as almost like I feel like I'm studying the game, you know. But,
yeah, for sure, because it's not even that you're studying whatever rap, but you study music as a whole, you know. And kudos to you too, because fuck, to me that's artistry. You know what I mean? Like, fuck being put in a box of like, oh, I'm a rapper.
But dude, I grew up on classic rock. I got Jefferson Airplane, The Who, you know. But like before, I also had, which I don't have up right now, but I have all my hip hop posters, which is Action Bronson, Joey Badass, MF Doom, like all these people, right? Beastie Boys, you know. But yeah, I grew up on classic rock, and I literally started rapping before I listened to rap.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No way. How the hell did that happen?
My boy Justin, dude. Shout out to Justin. He just had me freestyle. I just love freestyle. I didn't know these beats. I didn't know Uchi Wally. Bro, I didn't know Uchi Wally. I didn't know these beats.
Uchi Wally.
Yeah, dude. Like, I didn't know. And that's like, you know, even pretty old school. But like, I didn't know Cream. I didn't know any of the, you know.
No way.
Bro, no. So I grew up on classic rock. Then I listened to like Abbey Road and like the Beatles. Then I listened to Nickelback. Then I listened to like Avenged Sevenfold and like really hard rock. Then some metal, Metallica. There was a couple rappers, I will say. There's a few rappers. This guy Jonas, I don't think he's around anymore. Maybe he's still around, man. Jonas, I hope you're still around, dude. Your shit was dope. But I would listen to him. Like, there was a few rappers who I would listen to, but I was listening to Sublime, A Day to Remember, dude. I was listening to like bands, you know. Never really listened to solo artists. And when I started rapping, I did a 5-year education and just I've went through. I started listening to Mac Miller on when he released Good AM when I was in high school, and I saw him at the Fillmore on the Good AM tour, and I only knew that album. I never listened to Macadelic. I never listened to any of the other ones, Kids, whatever. I never listened to those. And J. Cole, the album after Forest Hills, that's when I found J. Cole. So then I had to go back and listen to Forest Hills.
Forest Hills.
Yep. Right?
You just missed it. Like,
bro, I wasn't there for any of this.
Forest Hills changed my year. Like, when that dropped, I didn't listen to anything else but Forest Hills.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, I wish.
That's a fact, bro.
Yeah.
Like, 2014 that was a classic album.
Yeah.
Classic.
But
it really stapled some shit for me, yo.
People around you were listening to it as well. Like, did you have like everybody? Was that like popular, dude? I'm like looking at this like I live on the moon or something.
No, you know? Like it was. I mean, it was definitely in the like.
I think circle. I remember that. Yeah, but I wasn't listening to it.
Yeah, it was just I was stuck on that album.
Yeah,
like, hardcore. I mean, it was my senior year of high school, so I was like. I mean, I was driving in
for me, yeah.
And like, you know, it was always playing in my car.
You got to remember, like, 2014 was the album that I feel personally established J. Cole as the person that he is today in terms of like superstardom.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, everybody respected him.
Yeah.
But that solidified him as like stepping into legendary zone. You know, like moving into that category.
Let me ask this. Is it Good Kid, Mad City for Kendrick? Is that Kendrick's version
I think
of that?
for a lot of people. I think for a lot of people,
because
not for me, but you know,
Humble is Middle Child.
Yeah,
I would say that. Yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For
Isn't it kind of crazy that there's a lot of parallels? And no, obviously we're just like making shit up, kind of. But like,
yeah. No, for sure. That's interesting because Kendrick Lamar for me, when he first came out, was not somebody I was like very fond of. You know, in terms of like, it's crazy, right? It's crazy to even think. Yeah.
It's almost like Cole and Kendrick are two kind of different camps a little bit. Like a little bit.
They're different.
They're definitely,
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, different camps, but very much equal in their own lane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if Kendrick is this level in his category, Cole is equal in his category.
Yes,
and it's like night and day, but fucking you need them both.
And they both stay pretty under the radar, but Kendrick nobody knows what he's doing. Like, he doesn't even do
he's
anything,
very much
dude. And I think that's the way to be, man, a little bit. Yeah. Like, I understand doing that. When it's like, nope, I'm in hibernation, then I release, then hibernation, you know?
I agree. But I wonder if it's, at least from my perspective, I think it's more so from a standpoint of, I don't know these people personally, but I think it's more so from a standpoint of, like, wanting your humanity. At least for me. Mm-hmm. Because one thing about me in terms of, like, this whole music shit, it's like, I wouldn't say I'm afraid of fame, because it could very much be a possibility. Like, I could throw something tomorrow and it fucking blows up or goes viral, and like, you know. But fame was always something I looked at as like, that's definitely something I do not want. I do not want that shit at all, bro, because it's like, it's almost as if like the world just takes away your humanity for no fucking reason, just because they decide to view you as something that is above like normal society. Like, you're this person that's above everybody on some level, and it may be economically, like maybe the money just gets to people's heads and it's like, oh shit. But the way society treats artists and famous people, rich people, it's like, it's completely inhumane, bro. It's completely inhumane. And I could see why these people strive to, you know, be away from social media, or like be away from cameras and keep their life very personal. It's like, bro, you can't even treat me like a human, so I have to fucking hide. You know what I mean?
Dude. And think about it like this too. It's not the stuff. Once you reach that level, it's not the stuff. It is not the things that you are actually amazingly talented at that go viral or become the sensation, right? Like, the things that become the sensation are just these stupid things that you do that end up being like tabloids. Like, those are the things that are on the pedestal. Mm-hmm. So it's like your art. Now you're famous. So, but now the art, we're not worried about the art anymore. Now it's, what did you do? Because now we know your name, and people are going to click on this website because your name's on it. So we got to tell them some crazy shit you did, you know? So it's not, then it's amazing that when you reach the apex of your art, then it's not even about the art. It's not about the art anymore.
Yeah, so, your art got you here, but from this point on, it's you know, we're waiting for you to fuck up, you know, or do some stupid shit, or lose your mind. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's why Kanye is so. Let me not take away from his art, but very much the topic of conversation today. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, and I think that's sad, because I think, bro, this man needs help more than fucking talking about his relationship and talking about his, you know, like, of course he's putting it out there for everybody to see, but as opposed to reacting to it in a manner where it's like, bro, can you believe he said this? Or yo, look what he's doing now. It's more like, somebody needs to be like, yo, how about we actually take the time to talk about like some mental health shit, and actually look at this moment and, you know, talk about some shit that we need to talk about, you know? And it's like, I don't think the fame shit helps in that, you know, aspect. You know, that's not my life, or that's not somebody close to me, but I think in a general sense, society has to fucking change, bro. Change the way we live and the way we think and the way we react to things. And it's like, I think that's where my headspace is at right now. Now that we're on this topic of, you know, fame and shit like that, it's like, society in, I don't know what you want, Western society, I don't know how it is in Canada or South America, but society needs to change, bro.
Well, we don't really, it's not, you don't treat somebody like that. We don't, in this culture, we don't treat somebody like that like they're somebody we know. We treat them as if we know everything about them, and we're just going to judge them without ever knowing them at all, you know? So yeah, I'm totally with you, man. But when you, at the end of the day, there's the people who write the articles don't edit them, right? So you're writing an article, then the editor or somebody else who has a different job just chooses the headline, and I'm just using these articles as an example.
Yeah,
you know, it could be a story, it could be anything, but meaning what I'm trying to say is that this is a business. Like, the business is to paint somebody in that light. That's what makes them money, right? That's their business. So I don't agree with it, right? But I can understand. I know why. Hey, we'll treat them as a human the same way we'll treat any artist as a human, right? Meaning that these people have a job, right? And so, sure, there's people that are making six figures trying to fix the homeless crisis, right? And there's only more homeless people. So, okay, maybe there's definitely exceptions to this topic, but where there are people just kind of skating on the backs of other people or whatever. But like that's why this happens. Like this happens. It's because it's somebody's job is to like do that. You know, it's not right. I'm not saying it's right.
I know. Don't get me wrong. I know.
It's fucked, but
that is a part of the culture, right? So the culture of the United States, and it's like, yeah, we could divide shit into business, into music, into this, into that, and it's like, all right, look at the culture of the United States and ask yourself, like, are these... I don't even know what you would ask yourself. I can feel it. But, you know, there's a I don't know. I could look at that whole industry of media and be like, bro, this shit is crooked. Yep. And this culture here, like, yeah, I get it. It's people's jobs, but, like, it's also people's jobs to change shit, you know? Yeah. And that's... I don't know. I don't know how they would do that. Or, yeah, I have no idea, bro.
But, yeah, and it's really in the last... It's been happening, but it's the last 5 years too. You know, I feel like the last 6 years, it's gotten even more. When I'm at the point where I turn on the local news is the best. Like they actually have like real shit most of the time. Like for real, like they're not doing tabloids. They don't care about. They just do like, hey, this is a person in the community. But so I don't want to disparage them at all. But even like I just turned on the news. I'm like, this is news. I'm like, what are these people talking about? Like, it's just wild. So yeah, I mean, the media landscape is just absolutely crazy, dude. It's just complete. And now I don't have the stats to back any of this up, but when you do look at the numbers don't even correspond
to what they're saying.
Yes, right. And the example that people say always is like murders. The amount of murder, like the murders would go down, but then they'll show more murders on TV. So you just think that there's more murders and there's murders everywhere. But if you look at the actual numbers, murders going down. So it's not to scale. It's not like, well, there's 10% is murders. Like it's just they have X amount of hours of media time and they just do whatever's going to get them more views, you know? But now at this point, I can say with certainty that podcasting and independent journalism, if I loop in independent journalism, then I'm definitely right. It's the largest media format in the world. The news doesn't even come close. So,
really?
Yes, 100%.
That's
so
amazing.
Let me hit you with this one. Podcast, there's 20 million more weekly podcast listeners than there are total Netflix subscribers.
Wow.
So that doesn't even mean the amount of people watching Netflix every week. There's actual... Yeah. It's big, dude. It's huge. Like, there's a reason.
I could imagine. Yeah. I could see the podcast world being like fucking tremendously big, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess like I don't really do much logistics, you know what I mean? Like looking into logistics and shit like that. I just look at like what's around me. And it's like what's around me is these people that still just watch the news.
Yeah.
And it's like I try to tell them things that I may get from this podcast or from this interview, and it's like if it's not from the, you know, News 12, it's like I'm kind of not really listening to that shit. So that's, I guess, kind of what gives me this image of like, you know, this crooked journalism or this crooked media that still feeds people this bullshit. But maybe you're right, yo. Like maybe our generation is like...
It's not a maybe to me. It's 100% we are going
definitely changing the landscape of like what we listen to and how we listen to it.
But it's and what at its core, what that is when you say I only listen to News 12 or whatever. It's called trusted sources. And this is the thing: when CNN has one agenda and one narrative, and then Fox News has a different agenda and a different narrative, and they're covering the same topic, and the facts or whatever they're arguing is completely different, then who's the trusted source? Right? So we are, and not to say we as a collective because I don't mean to speak for everybody, but I think that at least me personally, I guess I'll speak for myself, is that I'm very wary of the sources that I trust. And I also look at every source objectively, I try to, as just a human being in their experience, right? So I know that the news isn't a human being in their experience. It's written, right? There's multiple people, there's producers, there's editors, there's people, you know, doing the timing. That's all scripted.
By the time you get it, it's been passed around.
It's been baked, yeah. It's been filtered. It's everything. It's the most filtered that you could possibly get. But so when I get to look at an independent podcaster, like independent journalism or whatever, somebody writing an article that doesn't need to get clicks, or it doesn't do it for that, then that I'd so much rather take the downsides of their just personality to get the honesty, But this is the thing. People don't want to sit through a 2-hour conversation and get real and just talk about real topics that are actually existing. They want to get it just spoon-fed to them on the news or on their Twitter. And I'm not disparaging these people. That's how they want to consume it, right?
So you think even in the podcast realm, it's like this thing that's very much correlating with like the stage of hip hop, where it's like the listeners or the consumers are the one that kind of make it hard for the creators to do what they do in a organic way.
Yeah, I really, but I also think it's the fact of, like, if you started a podcast today and had 0 listeners, that wouldn't be the market. That wouldn't be the fault of the market. That would be your fault, right? Like, the market would say to you, if you showed it to 10 people and none of them clicked play, that means it wasn't interesting to them. So I also side on the listener side because there's 100 million, not 100, sorry, there's 2.9 million podcasts, so you can watch whatever you want. Like so I guess what I'm saying is, as it's funny, it's kind of like you'd probably have an opinion on this, the Spotify doesn't pay you enough argument. I agree, but you don't have to be there. You can go to the title. You can go on YouTube. You can go on your website. Yeah. I know so many.
And they'll all pay you the same shit.
Dude, and I know rappers who only sell their physical CDs or physical records from their website, and they sell 100 of them, and that's it. Okay, they make much more money than they would make on Spotify. So do it that way. Like, that's kind of I have like a kind of capitalistic approach to it, where it's like, if you don't have fans, then go out and get fans. Like, it's on you. The market's saying they don't like it, or you're not in front of the right market, So
yeah.
It's kind of tough. But yeah, I mean, to compare it to the mass media, the TV's the TV. It's just in your house. It's built in. Podcasts, you got to go find it. You got to find me on Instagram, and I got to make sure I release a clip so you do find me. But the thing is, you might need to see 7 of my clips to actually follow me, and then you might need to follow me for 2 weeks to actually then go listen to a full episode, and then you might listen to one and be like, I don't really like it that much. So that could just be what happens,
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Because I did hear the shit with you and Turk, and I was like, yo, this fucking podcast is crazy. Like, I need to hear more. And then it's just like, completely forgot to even, dive into more of the interviews.
Yeah, and it's not because you didn't like it. It's just the fact that...
Exactly.
Dude, but this is the thing, man. This is the thing with podcasts. You can only... Like, I just have diehard listeners of this podcast, and if you're listening right now, thank you. But I have people every week that consume every episode. That's not everybody. But you have to carve out the hour or 2 hours in your week or your day to consume it, even if you do it at the gym or in the car, that's a little easier, but there's serious time here, but this is the thing, I make this because I consume this. Been watching Joe Rogan for 7 years. I've listened to podcasts that are 1 to 3 hours long, so
it's almost like a genre of something. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like there's people who actually love indulging in podcasts, and it's like, I like that shit too, but I'm not completely like that. But so now I'm thinking about it, it's like, okay, now I could see why. Like, I'll hear one and be like, yo, this shit is amazing, and I'll never take the time to go and like listen to more, you know what I mean? Because I think the only one I really digest almost religiously is Joe Rogan's podcast. And even then I miss episodes, and I'll just skip some episodes where it's like, let me find somebody who I think I'd be interested in. And it's like, I jump around. I'm not even like a podcast listener, you know what I mean? Like, that genre, I guess, is not really like my lane so much. I appreciate it and I love it, but I guess now that you say it like that, it's like, all right, maybe I'm just not somebody who, or maybe I just don't got the time. Who knows,
Think about it like this, dude. I mean, music is way easier to consume.
For sure, 3 minutes. I mean, if you think about it in an album concept, maybe a little more, comparable. But even then, albums run for like, what, an hour?
Yeah. But then you got, Jay-Z disc 1, disc 2, or you got the old school disc 1, disc 2, and, there's that way of doing it. But yeah, for sure, these days especially, it's in 45 minutes, 50 minutes, hour.
Yeah, it's very much shortened.
Nobody who listens to
so.
I'm an album listener, but I don't think people be listening to albums like that, like I do all the way through.
If it's somebody I really appreciate, I'm definitely an album listener.
Yeah,
like that 2014 Forest Hills Drive, the what was Kendrick's album? After
Good
that,
Kid, Mad City.
No, the one after that. With Humble on it, that one. Damn.
Yeah.
God damn. But yeah, that album, you know, like, I remember when 2014 came out, for example, me and my boys, we have this thing where if the album drops and we all fuck with this artist, we all link up and we listen to it from front to back, straight through, front to back. You know what I mean? And it's like, I remember going to high school, we were all in high school, and we were like trying to dodge people who were playing the fucking album because we're trying to hear from the intro to the fucking last one, you know, like really trying to appreciate the project as how this person formed it, how this person lined it up, how does one track flow into the next, you know, like we're not trying to have no fucking spoilers. And it's like, that's how I like to, you know, indulge in music listening, like from front to back. And I guess that's kind of like the writer mindset from when I first started. It's like I want people to start from page one. You know what I mean? I put it this way for a reason. I set it up this way for a reason. It flows for a reason. So listen to it from front to back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which was pretty dope because I think even Kendrick's album On Damn, it had this concept where front to back, it has a concept, but when you hear from back to front, it's like the same concept flipped. And it told a whole different story. Like, so, you know, and you miss out on that had you just been a regular listener. Like, let me just hear the one that's been, you know, let me start from song number 3 because this one's the poppin' one I heard, you know, like, so, you know, very much how I like to dive into music is very much like that, like what you're saying.
Yeah, I feel like it's an artist's thing to do, though, because you really understand, you have the appreciation, you know?
That's very true. Yeah. That's very true.
And there's so much music, dude. So people are like, well, I kind of like this artist. I'm just going to listen to the top 5 Spotify ones, you know?
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, well, my favorite songs from most of the artists that I love are not on that top 5. Like, they're not their top 5 songs. They're probably not even
That's
their
usually
top
how it goes.
10 or 20, yeah.
Yeah, when you really appreciate an artist, I feel like your favorite songs never are the ones that... Yo, bro, not for nothing, the most poppin' hip-hop songs are the ones I hate. You know what I mean? Like, well, I don't hate this one. Ready or Not by the Fugees. Yep. Classic song. Too overplayed, bro. Yeah. I can't hear it no more. Like,
no, objectively
every time it comes on,
song.
I'm just like, I'm over it. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like, fuck.
Yes.
So it's like, every time something becomes like the pop and shit, it's not even that I do it on purpose. It's like, it just becomes not my thing no more. It's
Dude,
like,
imagine every weekend playing Low. Imagine every weekend playing Pitbull. Imagine every weekend playing.
Oh yeah, being
Apple
a DJ, right?
Jeans,
oh my god.
Boots with every weekend, like day in day out, right? So like.
Do you guys? Is it dependent on the artist that you'll do that, or is it like, oh, I found this album and like I heard a track and now okay, I'm gonna listen to it front to back, or is it like, oh, I really like this artist and then I'm gonna listen to that album all the way through, or is it like anytime you find a new piece of music that you listen to an album all the way through? Or is it dependent?
But probably both for me. But I would say like there are times that I'll find a song and I don't know the artist, and then I'll go and listen to their album. Yeah. And I'll get a few songs in the album and be like, nah.
Yeah.
For me, it's like back to 2014. Like, this is an artist I generally respected.
Yeah.
So
right.
Even when he dropped singles, I didn't hear for 2014 he didn't drop singles.
No.
But even before albums, if he dropped a single, I wasn't listening to it. Video and all, I'm not listening to it till the album drops because I'm trying to hear the shit front to back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even bother with the singles. So when 2014 came out, thank God there was no singles, but me and my friends didn't bump it till we went to Target, bought the physical copy, went back to the place and played it. You know what I mean? Like, well, we listened to 2014 separately, but you get my point. Go get the shit, pop it in, and that's when you finally hear it. At least that's what artists I respect. You know what I mean? And artists that I love to listen to. So, you know, that's how I would approach listening to a whole album.
But that's what you had to do. There was no you had to get the album.
Yeah.
Back then, there was no preview. Like,
it's fucking no.
I didn't even have an aux in my car. I was bumping CDs.
Yo, straight up,
had to be CDs.
One of my cars was like that too.
Yeah.
I couldn't have an aux in it. I needed to change the radio stuff.
Tape recorder aux.
Yeah.
I remember having that shit broke in a week, dude. I was pissed.
Yeah.
Going back to the radio.
Yeah, this one plugs into your like cigarette lighter. You know, connects to your radio or something.
Creates
like that.
a radio.
And you can Bluetooth it, right?
Yeah, creates a radio station.
I didn't even have that shit. I was mixing CDs and burning them.
Oh, dude, yeah, man, that was real shit, man, with the burning the CDs.
I was burning CDs.
Yeah.
I did that shit too, yo.
I had that shit in the disc drive, like,
bro.
I had to stack in the glove compartment. Be like, oh, write it on there with the Sharpie, like
the frost wire, the lime wire. You remember that
dude,
shit?
we're the last ones too, with the lime wire and the bear share and all that shit, dude. I remember.
Bro, I was so scared, bro, because I kept hearing that people would like fucking get bugs on their shit.
I remember I torrented so much music one time. And I was probably in like middle school, and the cable company, like my internet company, sent me a stack of papers that were like legal documents of a record of every song I torrented.
Oh shit,
dude! My mom was like, "What did you do?" And I said, "I got this. So I went online. I looked it up. There's companies that scam the internet companies and tell them that their customers owe them money just to get for ripping music, but that company didn't even own the music. They were just trying to scam people so you would get scared. The cable company's like, hey, we didn't do it, and then you pay them, right, and then they get free money. So that was crazy, dude. Music is crazy.
I used to do that shit with I used to torrent music, like movies, all the stuff. I'd like put them on like little flash drives.
Yeah,
plug
plug
them into my TV. Watch.
I know what you was torrenting a little bit or something.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is.
That's crazy because it's insane to think like how far music and like streaming even came. Because you saying that about the whole paper shit, like I remember when I downloaded FrostWire.
Yeah.
Like people telling me like, yo, bro, be careful because people are getting fined for this shit. Like. And I was like, God damn, this shit is that serious? Like, but then I understood, like, yo, these people need to make money too. You know, you got to go out there and buy the shit. Yeah. But then, bro,
like, wasn't that U2 who was like all about that?
The what?
U2, weren't they all about like this not torrenting or not streams or something like that? Or yeah, like not illegally. There was a band that was like really at the forefront of that. Oh, yo. It was either U2 or Coldplay. They were like so against it, and then they had their music installed on the iPods automatically.
It was U2.
It was U2. They had their song, and it was like, dude.
Yeah, you got an iPod or like it had that U2 album already in your iTunes.
Installed, but they're like, don't torrent U2. Who's torrenting U2?
Yeah, but you know that they must have signed a fat deal with Apple.
That was the only deal they could fucking sign, I guess. I don't know. No shade to like Bono, but
iPods, man. iPods. All right,
which iPod did you start with?
Holy shit!
I had. It was actually given to me. The kid who had it got a new iPod, and he gave me his old one, and it was the original, the one that was like a fucking brick. That one I had it was like I don't know 32 gigabytes or something like that. The brick one.
Brick guy?
The brick, yeah. It was literally like this thick and like that big.
I think I had the one after that one. Maybe it was a Nano, but it was original Nano. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, my shit was pretty. It was like that.
Yeah, it's probably
with
a Nano.
Little screen
with the little screen and the little circle guy.
I never had I understand people who had the shuffle. You remember the shuffle?
Yeah.
Where it didn't have a screen. It was just like little clip on.
That was old people who had that.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we don't need a screen on this. I gotta play my Led Zeppelin.
Buttons on my screen.
Yeah. Dude, that shit was crazy. I remember I'm in the car and I'm like, to my dad, I'm like, I want an iPod. And I was just joking because I thought I could never have an iPod. He's like, all right, you can have an iPod. And so I waited like another Christmas or whatever, and I got one. I was like, this is amazing. I had a Zune though first. He got me a Zune. He was like, let's see if you really want to listen to music. I'll get you a cheap one first from Sears. We went to Sears. He got me the Zune. I remember all this. Yeah, I had to have my cousin put the music on it because I didn't.
You didn't know how to do it at the time.
Dude. Thank God for my cousin.
Bro, I don't know about y'all. I'm only 24, bro. This shit feels crazy to talk about. I'm 25.
I'm 23.
Nah, this feels like I feel like this would be some shit we talk about when we're 50 or something, but it's crazy to see how fast the technology progressed in such a small time. You know what I mean? Because there was no such thing as Apple Music or fucking, at least that I didn't know of, or Spotify or fucking. Yeah. Bro, I remember when YouTube did not have ads on it.
Yeah.
To me, that shit is crazy. A YouTube with no ads.
Yeah, I remember trying to load up a YouTube video. I was trying to watch a ZZ Top music video. Like, I don't know why. And I had dial-up internet, and it literally was like maybe 240p, resolution. Took me like 2 days to load that video because the internet was so slow. Like in dial-up, like all you could do was go on like AOL Instant Messenger,
Miniclip.
and what's that?
Miniclip. That was a game. That was online games. Miniclip and Addicting Games.
Addicting Game. Okay, so I know Addicting Games. I never.
I ripped that shit on dial-up hardcore. I remember. Yeah,
it was tough,
dude. My mom. I remember early internet days. I'm gonna throw the earliest internet memory that I have, which is looking up boobs on images. I just looked up the word boobs, and then my mom was like, "Did you do this?" I'm like, "No." I don't know how young I was, because they must have, like, whenever they showed me the computer, which was like pretty young, whenever I knew how to log on to it.
Yeah,
dude. Kids these days, like we were talking to Julian, like they just have full, businesses that make more than their parents making TikToks, so
That shit
has evolved.
Yeah, man. Yep. I remember a time where people would say, like, you need to go to school, you need a college degree, you need a whatever, and now it's like, I literally have people telling me, like, older people, like, yo, I think now it's kind of like, not that you don't need it, but in a sense of, like, financial and economic gains, it's like, bro, you could get that shit doing anything. Pranks, reviews of music, or fucking whatever. Like, bro, you could literally just vlog your fucking life, and if you get people that are interested enough in your life and your daily stuff, it's like, bro, how much money could you be making just doing that?
Yeah, or like getting into like a real job too. Like, you don't really need a degree as much anymore, unless you're like trying to be like a doctor or something. You know what I mean? Like,
of course.
Something that requires that, like, that knowledge. But like, I mean, I can use myself as an example. I work in the auto body industry. First off, I didn't even know it was there, but I'm doing like a real job, and I'm 25, and I'm like, oh, like, I don't have like a business degree. I don't know anything about selling. Everything that I've learned has been taught to me, from experience. And I have my boss who's my like mentor, but there are ways to go about it outside of like the regular, like, oh, I got to go to school and get a degree in business or finance or whatever, and then like, what do you work in the job after? You're working at Starbucks making coffees.
And you have more. I guarantee, Trent, that you have more responsibility and make more money than the average person who gets out of college with a business degree.
Oh yeah,
big time.
Fact.
And that was like Kanye's album. Like, I got that skit. You know the skit about the college dropout, the skit on college. But I got my degree. Now, what I got, my degree, it comes with me everywhere I go. And it's like this amazing skit, Yeah. But that was
add some shit into perspective.
Yeah. It's like, and I'm gonna get a great job. I'm gonna start. So you know what you get to do? You get to be the assistant's assistant. But for real, bro.
Yeah.
And you just, man. I mean, I went to business school. I can tell you, I was high, but. So, and I fucking went right through it, man. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was a breeze.
Yeah, but you're utilizing it at least.
No, see, the thing is, I'm using it, but you know what? It wasn't for me, the business school. It was probably 3 professors who I learned a lot from, and that was worth it, But
yeah,
quote unquote worth it, you could argue. But I didn't learn anything from my classes. I just learned from people. I had certain professors who wanted me to learn like real shit, and then that's what they would teach us. And there was only like 3 of those, maybe, through my whole college experience. Went to 2 different colleges over the course of 4.5 years, and there was probably 3 professors. 2 different. Yeah, I went to a community college, and then I went to a university.
Yeah, I went to 2 community colleges, but even in those, I only met one teacher that was really like. Yeah. Okay, he's really teaching some shit, you know what I mean? Other than that, I feel like, I think even this kind of even goes back to the whole thing about media, and it's like following this culture that goes on in that specific, world. It's like a lot of teachers, they sign up to be teachers, and I guess they get this curriculum that the board set up for them, like, this is what's important for these kids to learn, and it's like, even though the teacher may be like, maybe some of this shit is pretty irrelevant and maybe they should be learning some other shit. To keep my job, I'll fucking just follow this word by word. And it's like, with the one teacher I had in college, it was like, this is literally how we started the first day. He was like, all right, guys, this is English 2, and if you ain't learned English from fucking high school, I don't know what to tell you. We're not doing English. That's exactly what he told me. He was like, if you don't know how to write by now, like, how did you even get here? Which is so true. Like,
yep.
Why am I still judging your writing, bro? You should be you should know how to write.
Your grammar is incorrect, and you're 20 years old.
And you know what's sad is that people still make those mistakes, bro. Like, people don't know how to write.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Facts, dude.
I actually can relate to you. Like, sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
Like, my English 2, I had a 7 a.m. English 2 class, and my professor was also, he was going to get like his, master degree or whatever. So he's a student as well, and he was like, nobody wants to be here at 7 a.m. I don't want to be here at 7 a.m. And he's like, I'm not going to be judging what you're writing. He's like, we're going to be looking at writing that, people have done and judging it together and figuring out, what made this writing good so that you can use it for your own writing. So that's how that whole class was kind of based around, So it was a different approach to it. We still did the curriculum, but we approached it a different way. And, and maybe it was because he was a younger guy. He could, I don't know, but it was definitely different.
Yeah, nah. You see, I appreciate teachers like that where it's like, bro, fuck the curriculum. Like, at this point, this is some shit. And not even fuck the curriculum, because he actually played by the curriculum rules and just bent it to his way. You know what I mean? And,
those were the best ones that I had who really...
Bro.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Like, just hearing that made me want to be like, yo, I want to fucking do that. Because that's the shit that I like. I love learning, bro. Like, I love learning. And it's such a shame that the place where you would go to learn is the place where I despise going. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah.
Every time I think about going back to college, it's like, bro, I'm not trying to do these papers. I'm not trying to fucking, my first English, right? So I failed the first English, and that's how I got the English 2 the second time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But basically, the first time, my teacher was like, all right, guys, the point of this class is to make you the best writer that you could be. So by the end of this course, we need your writing to be top notch. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I bet. His homework was fucking ridiculous, bro. Like, oh, read this little section and answer these questions about it. I'm like, we're not doing no, like, this is English class. Like, that shit would have been better for homework. Yeah. But I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time doing this bullshit that really, like, it's legit a waste of time.
Yeah,
right?
All of our homework was all reading.
I did none of my homework, bro. Like, absolutely none of my homework. The finals came, right? So with the finals, what they do with the finals is you'll write a whole fucking essay and they'll send it to 3 different judges in 3 different states and they'll give you a score from 1 to 7. 7 being the best, right? I failed my English 1. When I went to English 2 and it came time for the finals, he was like, yo, you took your finals and you passed? I'm like, I don't know. He was like, well, I'm going to check, but just do it right now, and so until I figure it out. And if you did it, you don't got to do it. Don't worry about it. He's like, yo, you did it, so don't do it, right? So I'm just waiting for everybody to finish, bro. When class ended, he comes to me, he's like, bro, you got 3 7s. Like, they scored your essay as perfect. Like, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, yo, if the point of that class was to make me the best writer I could be, how the fuck am I repeating this course? You know what I'm saying? Like, it made no sense to me, bro. Like, I get the homework and the point system and all this extra shit, but it's like, bro, if the point of this class is to do this and this student displays this, there should be no reason why you hold this kid back and repeat. It's a waste of time.
But the problem is that's not the point. The point is the point is follow our rules.
Yeah.
To a T.
And that's what that showed me.
Yes.
That's what that showed me.
It's rule following. But this is the thing. My girlfriend's a teacher, dude. Like, yeah, what you were saying in the beginning about, like, the board and these people. Like, it's not about learning. It's about people keeping their jobs, making their jobs very simple so they don't have to do anything, not really caring about teachers, but just say they do. and then teachers who are resentful about their administration get tenure and then really don't care. So now you have tenure. So now you have teachers in positions that nobody at the school supports them. So they don't, so they're saying, I'm not getting supported, so I don't care. And I have tenure, so try to get me out of here, you know? So I'm just going to skate. I'm just going to skate by.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take my paycheck, I'm going to take my tenure, and I'm going to make X amount increase in my salary each year. I'm going to have my summers off, and then I'm going to retire in 25 years and dip out and just ride my pension through, you know? And that's our American system of education in most areas, because it's underfunded. It's not, it's a system that's been the same system. When it's the same thing for 100 years, hey, can we change a couple things, or like, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to me. You know?
Man. I don't know. I don't even know how it is in this town, but like in my town, North Bergen, that shit is fucking corrupt. It's like you wouldn't even think like the education system would have to be political, but
I feel like
it really be like that.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Vote for the wrong person and you won't be here tomorrow. You know what I mean? Type of thing.
My 7th grade teacher, and it's one of my favorite like in school experiences I ever had. She was my 7th grade English and like homeroom teacher, and again, another English class, but you know, her, like, we had a daily homework assignment outside of like our normal writing and reading and stuff, but she was like, because this is a writing and English, you know, class, we're gonna not only like the curriculum that we're supposed to do, but I want you to go do your own research. So every day we had to bring in a quote, so it could be a poem or something, you know, from a book or from a movie or from a song. So we'd all bring in, and we all shared and like talked about it, you know, like what does that mean to you, and in the context of like the picture and everything. And it was just like, it made learning like about like literature and about like just all different types of genres fun. You know, it was different than just going, no, this is, you know, Shakespeare, and you need to read Shakespeare and understand, you know what I mean? Like, and I personally enjoy reading Shakespeare. Like I enjoy it, but that's just me, you know. I might be weird for that, but I don't know.
It sounds like you have some great ass teachers, bro.
Yo, he's a poet.
But so that was
But yeah,
true. That is true. That's also part of why I like.
He looks like a golfer, but he's really a poet.
Yeah. But that was her first year. She was 24, 25. Her first year of teaching ever. I mean, you know, she did her like stuff before. She was fired at the end of that year. Yeah. And everybody loved her. Like, it wasn't just my class. Like, anybody who had her as a teacher, like, held her on a pedestal.
God damn.
And they got fired her.
Dude, but
end of that year.
It's the Great Resignation, man. I mean, it's not just these other industries. It's teaching is probably the most resignations, you know, especially during COVID, because they already had a system that was hanging on by a thread, and then they had a global pandemic that completely turned it around. They couldn't even teach people in person. Do you think they're going to teach them through a screen? They're 5. They don't even.
Yeah. Like how you gonna get that? How you gonna do that?
So you take a system that already wasn't working, and then you put 400 restraints on it, and now it's then it implodes on itself. So that's really, sure, the teaching, we all know that's fucked, but these kids, and dude, some of their parents just don't care, you know, and that's sad. But that's the thing, is like, sure, college kids, they didn't get their, you know, maybe they're able to go out that year or whatever, but these little kids especially, they got, it's not good, dude. It's not.
I would like to know from your guys' experiences, like, personally for me, like, while in school and, you know, learning shit like, you know, Shakespeare and all this extra shit, one thing I really felt uncomfortable with or had a problem with is not feeling like I related to the content. In a sense of like my culture, or like where I come from, what I grew up on. And it's like, you know, you told me you're Irish and Italian, like I don't know if we read any, you know, Italian writers, maybe Italian writers, but, you know, maybe Irish writers, or anything that pertained to like your history, or like, did you guys feel that? Or I know that's something that I always I hated English, bro, because one thing I knew was that I was never gonna hear from a fucking Hispanic person ever.
Right.
One time, and the book was fucking garbage. I didn't fuck with it, but
yeah, I mean, I guess up until like college, I never really like thought about it, to be honest. Like it wasn't something that I even like registered in my head, like, oh, like maybe I'm only hearing like one type of people's perspective and not, other perspectives. It was until I went to college and I started reading other types of literature from all different types of people that I was like, oh, there's so many different points of view and so many different types of experiences that you just kind of miss out if you stick in the, oh, here, we're going to read this and this and this that everybody for the past 50 years has been reading over and over again because it's a classic. Mm-hmm. Sure, you should read those things, but there's so many other things out there. And I didn't realize it until college, but that was just my experience with it. I mean, I don't know how you feel.
Yeah. In high school, I was definitely like a stoner, and I was high like most of the days. And one of my teachers definitely just knew and noticed, but she was a hippie too. And she said, we were reading, I liked the books we were reading, Fahrenheit 451, 1984. But she's like, hey, you'll like this book. And it was called The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. And it was about Ken Kesey, and it was about these people called the Merry Pranksters who like rode around with the Grateful Dead, and they had a bus, and they just mixed acid and orange juice and just went on crazy journeys together. And that was the first time that I was like, oh wait, there's like stuff that I genuinely enjoy reading. So then I got into this guy Henry David Thoreau. And I started reading, and I read this book called Walden, and it's like this massive book about this guy just living in the wilderness, living in the middle of nowhere by himself, and thinking that every man should do that, And so I actually, in high school, I was put on just by this one teacher, and then in my own curiosity, I would be in a class, whatever class it was, and I would be reading. So we had iPads in high school. Like it was like the first people to have like iPads in high school.
Same.
Yeah. So I would be reading those books while I was in class, and that was the first time I found literature found anything that I wanted to read.
Yeah.
And then I took an autobiography class in high school, and then that opened me up to like a whole nother set of like human experiences. And so now, yeah, I never connected with much kind of in school, but like once I knew that it was my job to find the stuff, then I would keep going.
But never on like a cultural level have you ever thought like,
no, I kind of wish that happened, but no, I don't remember. But the thing is, like, I didn't really, I guess, not to say, I feel like maybe this is a blanket generalization, but I don't know, I didn't have a culture that I recognized, I did, I guess, like my family and my extended family, but I didn't have like, I don't know how it is for you, but I don't know. I didn't have like a culture where I was like, that's not my culture. Cause like, I'm not sure I really knew my culture, not sure I had one that was deep enough.
I relate to that a lot.
Yeah. Most just regular white people, I feel like just don't have a fucking, because
you grow up here, and even though you may be diverse in your own way, like Irish, Italian, British, but since you don't grow up with that connected somewhat, you grow up in this type of country, and it's mainly,
yes,
European people.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of just,
the Anglo-Saxon European,
it kind of just fits, and it just feels okay.
You kind of blend in to everything else, and that's, I never read, nobody was like, hey, you're like Irish heritage. I'm like, nobody told me, but what they said was, hey, you have extended relatives. I gotta have we gotta get a salt gun. Can you pull that up on Amazon?
I'm on it.
But yeah, they my dad said, okay, you have relatives in Ireland, and my grandmother went to Ireland every year, for like the past 20 years of her life or something. And so that was a good connection.
Never heard the language, never.
I never, I never like went there. My dad went there, but like my grandma was tapped in. Like she saw her extended family there and stuff. And then, dude, the Italian and Sicilian side, like not even like, but one of my great grandfathers was in the first Italian CIA, which was really cool to know. And he wrote a biography of Mussolini.
No, that is sick.
Yep.
That is nice.
So like, but I didn't know that till I was like 20. You know?
That's crazy.
So like I didn't even know my own heritage, not let alone culture.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's something that people like. It's like imagine not having a culture that you can even
identify with.
Yeah, really identify with and be like, that's my people.
But,
you know.
But in the same regard, this is one of the fucked up things I think about of our society in terms of like race. You know, where like there's so much diversity behind these one colors that you give people: brown, black, white. It's like, no, bro. Like, black people are so diverse. Brown people are so diverse.
Yeah.
Stop putting a fucking color on it. Like,
yeah.
But in the same way, I feel like that's what gives you the ability to feel like you don't have a crisis. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're not connected to your well, I don't know. I don't mean to speak on your behalf, but like, you know, like I'm not connected to my Italian and Irish roots, and it's like, it's okay because one, you don't think of it as a kid, and two, the content that you're reading, the people kind of look like you. You know, the words are, you know, they resonate with everything you hear growing up. You don't hear Gaelic or you don't hear Italian, so the words on the paper seem completely fine to you. Don't add any extra, you know, shit to it. Where it's like, with me, it's like, yo, like, damn, where's the Spanish words at? You know, like, where's the Spanish expressions? Where it's like when somebody's mad, you get that Spanish curse word, and it's like you don't see that in these books. You don't get those perspectives, and it's like.
And I want that though. Like I want to learn that, not being from that too. You know?
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
For sure. Like I love, like that's part of the reason why I do this. I love just talking to different people from. I talk to people from all over the world every week. You know, just virtually. You know, it's great. But like I'm genuinely interested in that, in the other cultures. You know, and music is a great gateway. You know, to like get to that. But yeah, like, but it's not even the fact that me as identifying, or even you yourself. I'd like to see more of my culture. Like, so does other people. They want to learn about your culture, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy is the fact that growing up, I never thought of it that way, where it's like, yo, why do I dread these classes? But as I grew up, it was like, you know when I realized it? When I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And my teachers didn't give me that book. It was a book that was in my house for years, and I never touched it because I'm a kid and I don't fucking like reading. But the moment I read that book, it all hit me. It was like, holy shit, this is why I dread these fucking classes, bro. Because I don't know who I am, and the shit that's in these classes is not telling me who I am, and it's not resonating with what's around me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I get it, like, but holy shit, it was like a fucking boulder lifted off my shoulders and thrown back on. Because it's like, what a relief. I finally understand why this shit is so dreadful, but then throw it back onto me because it's like, oh, it's your responsibility to fucking go and learn now.
Yeah, like the ignorance was bliss, kind of, but now the weight's on your shoulders, right?
To fucking learn, you know what I mean? Because your teachers ain't gonna do it, you know what I mean? So it's like, holy shit. I had to teach myself basically Spanish from scratch, you know what I mean? And fucking do my Spanish history. Like, the music was there, of course. Like, every fucking party, we're getting drunk and listening to that shit. My grandma only speaking Spanish, you know what I mean? And being in her house and this. I mean, she spoke English too, but, you know, very broken. But it was like, oh, now I gotta go and do this extra work and find out the roots. And, bro, this shit got deep. Like, if I could... You get a general knowledge of, like, your people from, like, people who don't give a fuck, which would be like your parents and your grandparents, who just like, when you're something, you don't care about being that something because you just are. You know what I mean? It's like, for my grandma, it's like, I'm Puerto Rican. I don't have to know my history or anything.
You don't have to look
because
into
I embody it. Like, I speak it, I think it, I feel it, I eat it. Like, everything about her is Puerto Rican, so you don't have to worry about knowing who you are because it's just like, it's just built.
Yeah.
But for somebody like me growing up in the States, it's like, holy shit, why do I kind of feel torn? You know what I mean? And it's like, I gotta start digging. And the digging, I couldn't even dig with my grandparents because, like, they'll give me the you gotta, mind you, a lot of my history of like, my family is uneducated, you know? Given that the island and all that extra shit is just wasn't good, you know what I mean? So the education level is very low. So it's like, they didn't get much of their history. And you get a general idea like, oh yeah, we come from Indians and Africans and Spaniards. And it's like, that's like the thin film that they fill you in with. And then for me to have to like fucking dig deeper than that, it was like, holy shit, I didn't even know shit gets this deep. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful experience, and I low-key want other people to have that, especially white and black people, African and European people, because in this country you guys get grouped in the most as just colors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least with Hispanic people, it's like you got the Mexicans. Everybody knows you got Mexicans, you got Puerto Ricans, you got everybody kind of knows us by definition. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
With white people and black people, you see a black person, it's like, I don't give a fuck what type of black person he is. He's just a black person. And you look at a white person, I don't give a fuck what type of white person. I just know he's white. You know what I mean? And boom, you're just categorized as these two big ass groups. But little do you know, like, there's so much to you guys, and it's like, you know, I low-key want to learn from other people to be like, yo, like, this is what Irish music sounds like, or like this and this and that and the third. Like, when I met Turk for the first time, Orhun, bro, that's the first Turkish person I ever met, you know? So it's like,
me too, man.
I was like, yo, I want to know. Like, I want to know how the fuck you say hi, so that when I walk in, I know how to say hi to your mom. And I want to know what your music sounds like. And bro, like, being around him, I got to learn some of his culture and, like, you know, push myself to learn more about his culture. And bro, that experience is dope. And I think that's what I don't want to say America, because America's not just the United States. Shout out Residente, right? It's not just the United States. It's a fucking huge piece of land with mad places on it. You got South America, you got Central America, you got the United States, you got Canada, you got the Caribbean. You, like, bro, I feel like in the United States, this is what the United States should be about. Learning that we come from immigrants who come from different places of the world, but yet we come here and just forget all about it. And it's like, all right, well, I'm white, I'm black. Yeah. And it's like, okay, let me just live like this.
Gotta go to work.
Yeah, as opposed to, like...
yeah.
To fulfill the American dream, to leave my culture. Yeah. You know,
right.
And don't you remember your example of the American dream, and like that in one, I don't know if that one Instagram post that you made. It had a description, an example of most people leave here to go to America to chase the American dream, but I feel like I have to, like, leave the American dream to go back to my people.
Yes. Yes. And that's something that's very, like, especially for me, because I don't know about for you guys, right? But at least in my case, right? Everybody prior to me and my mom was born on the islands. And for 200 plus years, they all been on the island. You know what I mean? Like, I've done the ancestry work, and, like, I can't even find somebody that came directly from Spain. You know what I mean? So everybody's just been on these islands for 200 plus years, and it's like...
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Puerto Rico and Cuba. Well, I don't know much about the Cuban side, so I'm not going to say that. But in terms of Puerto Rico, it's... all my family history is there. You know what I mean? So being the first generation here, it's like... I don't know what the fuck pops up in my family's head, but, like, they don't pass the shit on as much as they should, you know? Like... the language isn't passed on as a thing of, like, as an identification. It's more so like, as a kid, you only hear it because they're telling secrets that the little kids can't know about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you're hearing Spanish, but it's not for the process of learning or to, you know, to carry it on. It's more so like, we got to keep whatever the fuck we're saying under the rug.
And don't they want, kind of, like, not to speak for them, but, like, don't they kind of want their kids to be, like, Americanized, you know, just, like, fit in, like, go, you know, like, go to school, you know, kind of like you're here, so they would have kept you, like, you would have been in there if they wanted you to grow up there, you know, but the fact that you're here, all right, well, yeah, now you have to kind of fit in more and, like, be with everybody else. And
I don't think it was a conscious decision.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because, like, for my dad, he came here into the States and he knew no English. Born on the island, came here at God knows what age, and he knew no English. And now English is, like, his fucking first language. You would think it's his first language. You know what I mean? So I don't think it was a conscious thing. Mm-hmm. I think it just became when you get detached from something, right? When you become detached to your culture, it's like, what do you need to survive? For my dad, English was the thing to survive, because especially where he grew up, it's a lot of gang activity, it's a lot of violence, it's a lot of... And he told me, like, his first time fighting was, like, because he didn't know whether the guy was insulting him or what, because he didn't know English. He was like, I don't know what the fuck he's saying, but I feel like I'm in trouble, so I'm gonna just fuck him up. And that was his first, street fight. So I think the thing of survival is like, English was my needs of survival. This is gonna be my 24/7 every fucking day now, so I gotta learn this shit. And you don't even think about culture or the important points of history or whatever. You just have kids and you're just speaking English naturally because that's how you survived. And it sucks, but I had to grow up with that. And it's like, it was painful because every party, every family gathering, every whatever it is, bro, like, your culture is in your face, but you don't know. It's like you just can't grab it. You know what I mean? It's like, I know I'm Puerto Rican, I know I'm Cuban, but what the fuck does that mean? Because I see it, I hear it, I taste it, but I don't feel it. You know what I mean? And it began like this whole fucking chase on like, pick it up, and try to solidify this identity that you carry. You know what I mean? The blood that flows through my fucking veins, like, I have no idea where it is, or what it means, and that's the whole journey that it took for me, because at least I had the privilege of having my culture right beside me. It's like, maybe for you guys, it's like, maybe your first Italian immigrant came from fucking like 1700s or 1800s. So it's like,
it is like
English at a point where it's like,
but this is,
you don't have it beside you.
I had meatballs and everything. Like, I had like classic, but it really was like, it was just there. A lot of it's lost.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of whatever is lost.
Yeah.
And I had the core fundamentals, of the meatballs and spaghetti. Like, that happened. Like, we were Italian. We're Italian, And the other side was Irish. Yeah. And, hey, Giovanni, we're going to go down to Joey's, go get a couple slices, all right? But, yeah, man. And my other grandma listened to only Irish music. Every time I came into her house, there was
Beautiful.
Irish music, right? So, like, I got that, but I didn't get the, like you're saying, like, the real, like, in my face, I got the 3 generations passed down, because it was I think on both sides, it was my great grandparents who immigrated here, maybe a third, like, and I don't even know that.
Yeah.
And if it's hard for me, I could only imagine a third great grandparent being the first one here.
Dude.
Yeah.
That shit must be fucking crazy.
I have I guess kind of like a similar experience to you, Sully. Like, the closest I had to, like, because I'm also I'm Italian and German. On my mom's side of the family is the Italian side, and I was always so much closer with them. So I had more Italian influence in my life than I did the German side. It's just how it was.
How it played out.
Yeah. My great aunt, she lived to be 95, which hopefully I get some of those genes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
But I would talk to her even as like a kid, like, I wanted to know like a little bit about her like story. And so her parents, now she's my great aunt, so it's twice up, and then her parents were the first generation immigrants to the United States. So when she was a kid, and she had 13 siblings, which is insane, but that was common at that time.
Normal, yeah.
Right. And I think she was born in the 20s, maybe. I could be mistaken on that, but 20s, 30s, pretty close to that.
20s, yeah.
Yeah, probably. So when she was a kid, English was forbidden from her father. You were not to speak English anywhere in his presence. But her mom wanted her to learn English. Was like, you need to be a part of American society, and English is a part of that
to survive. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So she had, because her mom had allowed her to speak English, she started to actually kind of like, I don't know, resent the Italian language, but like almost forgot it. So, I only knew her for a brief sliver of her life and a part of my life as well. But I would ask her, like, things about, you know, Italian like culture, or like how to even say specific words in Italian, and she wouldn't be able to tell me. And she was smart as a tack until she passed away. Yeah. But she's like, you know, I mean, I haven't spoken in Italian since I was, you know, a teenager, maybe, you know, maybe even longer than that. So, you know, I don't really know anymore, you know. But I think the next part of that I would kind of include in this whole thing, about not only learning about your own culture, but learning about other cultures, is food. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, like, I've gone to a different type of restaurant, and it's usually with working with people who are from that type of culture, and they're like, oh, do you like this type of food? And I'm like, I've never had it, but let's go. I want to seek that out, because then, one, you're around people who are that culture. Like, I went to an Egyptian place in Patterson. I never had Egyptian food. I don't even know what they serve. But everybody there that's working there is Egyptian, and the customers that come in are either Egyptian or they want to eat Egyptian food. And so, like, you get into this, like, oh, I'm getting a sliver of it, you know? You get to experience that type of culture. And same thing with other cultures as well. Like, I worked with a guy who was Puerto Rican, and he was like, hey, let's go to this restaurant, and they've got all this types of, you know, food that I grew up eating. I'm like, okay, like, I want to, because I feel like it gives me a window into that type of experience, you know? Yeah. And it's something small, but it's like, okay, I can kind of get a feel for a little bit, like, you know, what a family dinner looked like, you know, in a Puerto Rican household or in an Egyptian household, or, you know, all these types of things. But, you know, I mean, I'm kind of the same way with you. We grew up eating, like, you know, spaghetti, meatballs, but my great aunt was the one cooking them. So she had a very, like, grounded in Italian.
The closest thing you had.
That was the closest thing that I had, to, like, a true Italian experience, you know?
Yeah.
But it kind of gets, I mean, not that it gets lost, but, you know, it gets passed down, but it's different. After it changes hands, it's always different, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up eating spaghetti meatballs, but we'd also eat cow neck bones in the meat sauce. So, like, that was apparently...
Oh, that was the fire, yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, it's amazing. If you haven't tried neck bones in, like meat sauce, phenomenal. It's legit cow neck bones in there, but the meat on it, when you cook it in the sauce, falls apart and then becomes the bolognese, like the meat in the sauce.
Oh, dude.
Unreal.
Another level.
Unreal.
Yeah.
But, those were, like, those little hints of things that I got, but I never really, like, consciously thought about it. You know what I mean? Like, growing up, you know, I never really, like, thought about it.
I don't know. Maybe for me, it was, like, such a traumatic experience that it was, like, I'm not even gassing it. Like, I literally had a fucking identity crisis, you know? But, you know, thank God, because now I understand a lot more than I did. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like I want to encourage people to do shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, at least take a little time to... I know a lot of people don't have the willpower to fucking learn a language that's completely foreign, you know? Even though it correlates to you. But I feel like it's one of the most... vital things in learning where you come from, because the language of what you speak, bro, like, that's your thoughts, that's your emotions, that's your expressions, that's how you let everything inside of you out.
Yeah.
And when you learn a language, you learn how your people express themselves and how they view the world and how they, you know what I mean? Like, for example, like in one of the native languages from the islands, from the Caribbean, the same word for heart correlates with the same word for wisdom or for wise. You know what I mean? So it's like you get a little window into how these people view the world and how they view emotions and how, you know, like, wisdom comes from here, not from here. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's very crazy to think.
Yeah.
So now when you learn the language, you start to associate wisdom with your heart as opposed to your mind.
It actually changes.
It changes the way
you think about things.
The way you think.
And there's things that can't be described in, like, think about how limited we are with one language, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's things that you'll never be able to describe in this language, no matter how dynamic it might be, you know?
And that's what I feel like the United States has a fucking big pedestal, like a big, like, fucking advantage on everybody else, because, like, there's so many cultures here, and imagine if we all embraced it.
Yeah.
And now, like, not only do we know ourselves, but now we could express ourselves in way more different ways because we've shared with each other's cultures. Yep. So it's like, I could be expressing something in Spanish, blah, 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 and then there's something that I want to say to this person that I can't express in the Spanish language, so now I say it in an Arabic word. And because we both have Arabic friends, we all know what the fuck this one word means. Yep. And now everybody knows what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like, that would be a fucking beautiful experience. I mean, oh, man. Spanish has a lot of Arabic influence, by the way, so, you know, but
yeah, and everything's been commercialized. Like, think of the reason why people would tell you to learn Spanish when English is your first language. Oh, you'll be looked at for a job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not even for the purpose of learning.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, you're gonna connect with your neighbor. You know what I mean?
No.
It's not about that. Like, and it's
well, in a corporate entity, if you speak more than one language, it actually puts you above the pool of the other candidates in the corporate entity. So you're gonna actually have to rise up in the ranks if you learn a language. It's not about culture, you know. It was never about that. So
and that's crazy because even in I think it was World War II, if I'm not mistaken, or World War I. My history on United States history is horrible, but I believe they credit the win on our side because of the Navajo Indians, because their language was so complex that they actually used them as code talkers.
Yes. That's World War II.
That's World War II. And it's like, bro, like, the same people you fucking beat the shit out of, pummeled into a little corner, and discriminated against and made the worst living conditions possible are the same people you use, and they're the same reason why you win. Like,
yeah, and they still do that to them, you know. Like, it still happens,
and still treated in the same conditions. And
right,
bro, it's
insane. I read the book that Trevor Noah wrote was called Born a Crime. He's the host of The Daily Show. And one of the things that have always kind of stuck with me from that book was because he grew up in South Africa during apartheid, and where he was at, all the different villages, you could tell where you were from based on what language you spoke. And his mother installed in him that you need to learn as many languages as you can. He speaks like 7 languages, and when he was growing up, I think he was like a teenager, maybe in his 20s or something, these guys were gonna like jump him, and he heard them talking in whatever language it was, and so he turned around and talked to them back in their language, but they thought that, you know, he was from a different village and spoke a different language, and he was like, if I speak your language, I am you. Because now and then they didn't jump him. They ended up talking to him, and they went about their day, and, you know, but
the other, you know, he was the other, and then he wasn't.
Right, and then he was a part of them. Yes, you know, he was.
He made a connection.
Yeah. Right,
and it's like, and that's the beauty about that shit, because you could still hold on to your identity and relate to somebody else, and it's like, I find that when you take the time to learn somebody else's culture, they fucking love it, bro. Like. When, especially like in my job, like there's an Arabic dude, he's Palestinian, but like, you know, you work however you work and blah blah blah, but bro, you show interest in his culture, you show interest in with anybody, and it's like they light up. It's like, oh shit, he cares, like, and now you guys build this bond, and it's like, with that whole story, it's like they look at you as like this outsider. But the minute you speak their language, the minute you show, like, yeah, I'm different, but I took the time to know you, it becomes so much more bigger than, you know, it kind of like takes them out of that fucking small mindset that they had. And it's like, oh shit, this guy took the time to learn who we are. And it's like, oh shit, we could relate. Fuck whatever I was about to rob you for. Like, it became bigger than that. It became more important than the material. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really just holding that person to, like, when it comes to the Trevor Noah thing, it's like holding that person to a higher standard now. It's like, oh yeah, like, no, you were like a lower person. Like, I didn't care about you.
Maybe not lower. Maybe not lower, but
I don't know. To jump somebody, you can't be like, well, they're, you know, better than me.
In that scenario, yes, that was how it was, like, looked at. Yeah. Like they were holding different, like, I don't want to say like classes, but
okay, the villages, that region and shit. Yeah,
the villages, exactly, looked at each other in like different
hostility
lights.
and you're lesser and
right. So in that scenario, you absolutely are correct.
But yeah, no, modern scenario, I think it's probably, you know, there's nuances, but
modern scenario, I think it's more so just a
or like the lack of interest of not even like just not even wanting to explore that. That's almost it's almost apathy now. Where it's just like another culture. All right, well, there's a bunch of people who have different cultures everywhere. What am I supposed to learn all their culture? But I look at it more like I look at it like I'm just curious.
Same shit for me.
I just want to know.
Yeah.
Like so why do you eat that? Like what is that? And then you ask
why do you eat that?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I remember Jay-Z had a line in one of his songs where it's like, I can't remember it exactly, but he was like, pig intestines that we ingested, shit that we ate because I forgot how he rhymed it, but basically like saying like, we eat pig skin or pig intestines, and that became part of our culture because the slave master wouldn't let us eat shit, so he just tossed us the intestines after he ate the pig and just left us the intestines, and so we cooked the intestines, and that's how we survived, and that carried on and carried on and carried on, and it's like, oh shit, we eat pig intestines because our great whatever the fucks were slaves that just this is all they had. You know what I mean? And it tells a bigger story. You know what I mean? Like bacon becomes so much more important, or like whatever the fuck. Like So I don't know. Culture to me has been something that's like very important in my life now, and it's like going back to that thing that how it originally started. It's like I feel like I have the need to go back, and be the first person in my family who goes back. And I don't know, I need to reconnect. It's like, it's not even a want, it's almost a need, a necessity of like fully indulging into, it's the last piece into figuring out who I am type of thing. You know what I mean? In terms of the shit that makes this physical me possible,
And do you find yourself in your music telling those stories and that, or like relating to it in your music too, or is this kind of separate thing that you're really focused on? Or has it blended too?
It's blended a bit because for all my life it's always been English, rapping in English, doing this and that and the third. But I don't know if you've seen, but recently for the past, I guess like 2 years, it's been reggaeton, like actually rapping in Spanish and singing in Spanish, and even incorporating like native words from my island into the music. Like that's kind of like the next step I want to get into. It's like it's bigger than just, because we could even get deeper to the point where it's like, we're Puerto Rican and Spanish is the language of the island, but it's like on a deeper level, it's the language of the conqueror, you know what I mean? And it's not even the full picture of who I am, because a lot of Spanish, in a lot of Spanish countries, you have words that come from African and Native American origin, and we just say it because we grew up hearing it for so long, but it's like, we literally had aunts and great uncles who were more African or more Indian, and it's like you don't even embrace that side because for them on the island, speaking those languages was like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You have to learn Spanish, So, but it prides me to know, like that was the deep thinking I had to do too, the deep digging that I had to do, where it's like, oh shit, this word this whole time I've been saying is actually a native word, or an Arabic word, or an African word, And it's like, holy shit, what the fuck? So it's like I want to embrace those sides of me too, So right now I've been doing heavy like native research on like as much as I could pick up on the languages that came from the Caribbean, and it's like trying to get as close to that as possible. So now it clicks in more, Like I was reading recently, something called the Jibaro dialect of Puerto Rico, right? So a Jibaro is what I kind of was explaining to you before, where it's like you grow up in the mountains, you grow up on a farm, you grow up working the land, and basically a Jibaro technically was an uneducated person. So this person usually was of mixed race, usually of the three that I'm talking about, African, indigenous, and Spanish. And for hundreds of years, just growing up with that mix and that environment. And I got to dive into, like, within that paper, it tells you, like, a lot of the Puerto Rican dialect, the major contributions, a lot of it comes from, like, indigenous background, like the shit that they talk about. And a lot of the African influence is more so in the music and more so maybe in the foods, you know. But I hear I was listening to actually while I was hearing my grandma talk, I'm like, oh shit, does she even know that she's not even using a Spanish word? You know what I mean? Like, she was sitting with my grandpa's sister, and she referred to the front of the house as a bate, which basically like the patio, you know what I mean? But in Spanish, it's not bate. Bate is just the indigenous word from Puerto Rico that you use to refer to that. The Indian, the caciques, right? The chiefs, right? They had bigger homes, and they had a different structure home, and they had the front part of their house as the bate, you know what I mean? The other regular homes didn't have that, but that word still carries on into her Spanish, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't even think she peeps that shit, you know what I mean? But it gives me more pride, it gives me more information, it lets me know like where I come from.
La Plena.
La Plena. Oh, La Plena. Yeah. I think that's more so African-based music that comes from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I got that from one of your posts too.
Yeah, man, bro. It makes me so proud to know like all this shit that makes like these beautiful cultures, you know what I mean? Like, who would think, like, looking like me, that I have like West African roots, you know what I mean? Like, you would never guess in 100 years, or indigenous roots, you know? Just looking at me, you just think like, he's just white, you know? The society standards, because we go based off of race and not based off of ethnicity, or not based off of science, you know what I mean? Race isn't really science. Race is just this ideology that was passed down in order to promote supremacy, you know?
It's cultural, more cultural.
Yeah, it's more cultural than it is science, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you get structures and, you know, anatomic value. That's the most science you're gonna fucking get from it, but it doesn't paint any type of fucking story of where you come from, you know what I mean, or who makes up your blood. Like, I was literally telling my mom the other day, my mom is Cuban and Puerto Rican, but she's very much like my skin tone, you know, like very much on the whiter side, and she has the gene for sickle cell anemia, right? And whatever, we did DNA test for her or whatever, and I did my research. I was like, holy shit, sickle cell anemia is a African trait. It's something that developed in Africa and was something that got passed on through African people as a way to survive malaria. Yep. And I'm like, my mom holds that trait. That shit is so weird. So when she was giving birth to me, the doctors were like, we got to be careful because you hold this trait and this could very much affect your child. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, no matter how many thousands of years ago that African ancestor came from, that shit's still passed on to the forefront of right now, you know what I mean? And when we did the DNA test, it gives you this thing called haplogroups, which basically traces like your mom's, just all your mothers and all your fathers, right? So her haplogroup, all her mothers, down her mother's line, if you go all the way down her mother's line, it comes from a West African woman. You know what I mean? So that was interesting. My dad, if you go down his maternal line, it comes from Native American woman. His paternal line comes from, it said, the people that conquered Spain. So like North African people, which I believe were like the Amazigh or the Moors, you know what I mean? Which is very much like more Arabic influence, which is where Spanish gets some of their words, you know what I mean? But incredible. Like, it's insane. I can't even express this shit. Like, I want people to experience that, you know what I mean? To dive deep and feel proud. Because I feel like, especially today, it's not cool to be white. You know what I mean? Being white is like the not cool thing to be.
No, you're just like privileged.
Yeah, and that's all people see you as. You know what I mean? Like, you're privileged and you got no culture and...
Yep.
You know what I mean? But I feel like there's a lot of... At least from the shit I learned about me, you know? So much shit you could be proud of and so much shit that you could feel, and, you know, like, next time, or if any time you're approached with that ignorance, it's like you have something to not beat a person with, but to be like, yo, like, did you know this? You know what I mean? And they might get something out of it, like, holy shit, you know? and that's on both sides, you know what I mean? For people of European descent and for people who are mixed, it's like we kind of got to find common ground on how to react with one another, how to interact with one another, you know what I mean? Because I ain't even gonna stunt, even growing up as a Latino, it's like you grow up with a little bit of like hostility towards whiter people. Like even driving here, it's like, holy shit, I know I'm nowhere near home. And I'm not even gonna stunt, it's like you get all these racist ideas, and like it's like, yo, if I don't know how it works over here, but if the wrong people see me, like how would they treat me, you know? Because I do look white, but my car got the flags, you know what I mean? The music playing is very much Spanish, so it's like, if I get caught out here, how would I be treated? And it's like, it's very hostile, you know, for me. And I could imagine for a black person or, you know, whatever. It's like being away from home or away from your comfort zone is like very much intense because of the history of this country. You know what I mean? And I feel like if people knew themselves better, it would almost erase that ignorance that comes with, you know, that hostility, or that, you know, next time you talk about a white person, it's more so in a negative way than a good way. You know what I mean? It's like, I think if we all got the time to know ourselves, we have something to offer people, as opposed to just ignorance and face value information. Like, of course I know niggas own slaves, you know what I mean? Of course I know this, that, and the third, and I can't keep looking at you that way. You know what I mean? If you live that way, then, you know, that's a different story. If you portray those values and you portray those things, and I have no other choice, you know what I mean? But other than that, I don't feel like, I don't know, I'm tired of that shit. Personally, for me, you know, I'm tired of that shit. I can only imagine, and maybe it's because I look white. Maybe I'm tired of that shit. But I could only imagine for you guys, you know what I mean? Because even going to like listening parties and shit like that, I remember J1, you know J1?
Yeah. I'm
amazing
familiar.
Fucking guy. You need to listen to his music. But I went to a listening party for him, and I was on the album. And mind you, I'm in a place where it's just strictly black people. And we're listening, and the song comes on, and he's like, yo, this is my boy Solis, he's on this next track, blah, blah, blah. And as my verse comes on, one of the guys is like, yo, that's the white boy? And then another person, her name is Frequency. I don't know if you guys know Frequency, another great artist. She was like, the music's playing, mind you, and she's like, he ain't white. And the music keeps playing. And I guess he didn't hear it, but he's like, yo, bro, this is the white boy? And she was like, bro, he ain't white. Like, and bro, that moment always stuck with me, you know what I mean? Because that's kind of like the story of my life, where it's like, I very much look white. I very much do not feel white. And it's like, wherever I go, it's that conflict of like people treating me this way when I'm really this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that could be the story of a lot of people of European descent, had they, or if they take the time to understand themselves, where it's like, I'm pretty sure people look at you and they could automatically be like, oh, well, his great parents must have owned slaves and blah, blah, blah. Little do they know, like, bro, like, all right, maybe your Italian side, if it went that deep, but bro, they came here 3 generations ago. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't, your family didn't even get to indulge in that had they given the chance. You know what I mean? Like, and you could tell them the story of how your grandma didn't, or your great grandma didn't even know English because she was too busy listening to Gaelic music and speaking Gaelic. And it's like, what? Like, anybody could treat you a certain way because they just have that perspective of white people in the United States, and you could easily just cut that shit down real fast. You know what I mean? Had you knew, or have you known, or have you connected. And don't get me wrong, for those that do have that connection, because there's very much are those people, it's like, acknowledge it, but then make that change and make that extra step, or that extra, whatever it takes for you to know something else about your culture, and much more than just slavery. You know what I mean? It's much more than just fucking the bad. You know what I mean? You could acknowledge that shit and be like, wow, that fucking sucks, but at least I know that it's deeper than that. You know what I mean? It goes deeper than that. Before that, where were we? What were we doing? What's the proud shit that I could be proud about? You know? Not saying to ignore it, but dig deeper, you know, and find some significance.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me,
Dude,
bro.
that was probably... Listen, man, we got a lot of interesting conversations here, but today, I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
If we weren't at 2 hours, I wouldn't cut it. I want to go for another 4, but
whenever we could do another one, whenever.
Oh, dude, we'll have you
down
back.
the line, for sure.
I bookmark
bro.
a few different topics I want to bring up anyway for next time. So
that's lit.
we're gonna jump in.
That's lit. I was thinking to myself the whole right here. I'm like, fuck, how am I gonna top Turk?
Yo, dude, he's crazy, bro.
Nah, that's my brother, bro. I love him like my brother.
That's what I'm saying. Shout out to our boys, dude. Shout out to our community. You know, all the people coming together. That's the one thing. Hey, the music does bring us all together. Everybody daps us up, and everybody's just cool, man. Everybody
sure.
love everybody, and that's the one thing about at least the music gets it right. Like the music people, they're in the culture. Like they understand because you have to, right? Like like you're like, dude, I go into those. Like not like maybe not the listening party or whatever, but like I'm just me and rappers, right? And they're like, who's this guy, the camera guy, or you know? And then no, I'm gonna go.
I got that one time.
Something, right?
I got that one time.
Yeah, man. But let people know, you know, where they can find you and you know, listen to your music. For everybody listening and watching, I'll have all the links below in the show notes. But just if you want to shout yourself
I don't use Facebook. Really, all I have is Instagram. So the Instagram is _ I am Solis, IAMSOLIS, and then if they wanted to contact me through email, it'd be solis.bookings@gmail.com, and that's mainly my two sources of contact. You know what I mean? So they could find me there, and then if they have any questions about where to find me on iTunes or whatever, it could be kind of hard because Solis is a common. Like you look up Solis on iTunes, you're fucking gonna get mad Hispanic people.
It's alright. I'll have the links. I'll have the links to yours.
No worries. If they can't find it, they can hit me up and just ask me. I'll send it all through.
Hit him with the bookings, paid bookings by Solis. I'm raising his price right now.
I wish.
I got you, brother. Thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Bopcast. We are on all platforms, even the ones nobody uses. All right, we'll see you on the next one.